WTF Nation Radio
is in the house.
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation.
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
This is a public service announcement from C.T. Fletcher. I will not contribute to the pussification of a nation. Get your punk ass out there and work for it, motherfucker.
Let's roll.
Morning, Sergeant Major.
How do you know what kind of goddamn day it is?
Beautiful morning, Sergeant Major.
Are you a fucking weatherman now?
You're listening to Sergeant's Time on WTF Nation Radio.
Oh, yeah. Broadcasting live from the Functional Veteran Center of Excellence on this 18 July. Sergeant's Time. U.S. Army WTF Moments, WTF Nation Radio, with my gunner in the gunner seat, the Spanky.
Hey y'all, that's me.
No, girl, what you doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm on search for the sun today.
I know. Oh man, I've just been busy. Having some Facebook page drama on the pages, and I'm like, holy crap, Meta's just getting stupid. If you guys don't know,
keep changing things.
I know, right?
Learn new tricks. I don't want to learn new tricks.
I know. This is the biggest thing that pisses me off about it the most is that every time you think you got it down when it comes to doing your platforms, then the platform changes, and then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we're locking you out of this, we're locking you out of that.
I finally remembered a password.
Well, yeah. Well, here's what happened. We had a we had an.
I'm just here to shoot bullets. So
Yeah.
sorry, I can't say that out loud. No.
Exactly.
I'm just a gunner. I'm in the gunner.
That's
seat,
right. You're in the
okay?
gunner
That's
seat,
what
man. Exactly.
I'm just doing gunner things.
I'm feeding you another box. Most of the drama have come because the platforms that are changing for streaming now have gone to, like, for instance, we were broadcasting on X because we required our site to be verified, and so when we did that, it locked us out, and so I just want to give a shout out to the X support and Elon for allowing to check our case out, and they pretty much said, oh, oops, sorry, because I did something that I thought I could get away with, and I didn't. I'll admit it.
Of course.
I used the age of WTF Moments, which is January 7th, 2010 is when it was born, and I used the age because you're only supposed to be a certain age to get on Twitter. So I put that in there, and X went, bullshit. There's something. No. You need to submit this, and you need to submit that, and you have to do this. I'm like, oh God. So once I got,
I started thinking about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I say once I got that all squared away, and then I hit the case with the little form that you did, and then I actually I'll admit it. I kind of tweeted out, hey, give us a hand here. Then it got to us that, yeah, okay, here's the form, here's how you unlock your shit, and then you'll be good to go. So I did that, and then bam, we got our blue check like within 40 minutes after I did that. So I was like, cool. So I'm sorry. So we were saying, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, I was just thinking. I was like, it might be because I say a lot of bad words, and maybe they think we need to be adulty adult, and the main page is they're not 21 years old, so maybe that was it.
Yeah.
I started thinking about it.
That's true.
We do have a little bit because on X, on that platform, it's a little more. Their community standards are a little different than it is on Meta. I'm not saying it's better or worse or anything, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's it, that they wanted us to be at least 21. I don't know. Maybe that's what that thought crossed my mind. After the whole drama of them going back and forth, when they locked us out for a minute and then weren't. But that thought did cross my mind. But it crossed my mind at about 3 a.m, so I didn't call you.
So in other words, it was a shower thought. Because you ever have that?
Yes.
You have those moments where you're like, you have an epiphany, and then it just comes down from the. Oh, okay. Well then, oh man, here we go. Oh, it looks like we have Saddam Hussein in the chat. Saddam Hussein. I love the trolls are already starting. Saddam.
See, but I will actually call you from the shower, but I won't call you at 3 a.m.
No, you don't. Yeah, exactly that.
I'd just be like, hey, and I won't say her name right now, or else she will probably call you. But I'll just tell her to call you.
Yeah, Beetlejuice, like Beetlejuice. All of a sudden, an idea comes up and all that. No, you're right. Tonight we got a rock star of a guest. Captain Mike Villahermosa. Sorry, I always have to revert to Spanish ciphertext when speaking to my fellow Latinos. Michael Villahermosa. He's an EOD technician, and he's gonna talk to us about how great the movie Hurt Locker was about. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, he's a no shit, legit EOD tech, and he and I have been friends for a minute, and it's one of those things to where he's got, we're gonna shoot the breeze about the process of how to become an EOD tech. Now, mind you, now, and EOD tech is a site. I am not at all, always be recruiting, I guess you would say. GoArmySoft.com, and you can go to the GoArmySoft.com website, and you can see the EOD and the Warrant Officer, PsyOps, SF, and Civil Affairs recruiting sites and all that. But he's going to hear and talk about the man, like what he went through and all of his own processes, and how do you become an EOD tech, and then his, pretty much he's kind of like blasted off a little bit to stardom here on social media with X, on Twitter, and so I'm pumped because we're gonna blah 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 blah, and go through the. I mean, here's my thing: I have to make sure I don't ask about wires, detonators, devices, fire device, anything that has to, because EOD tech people, they will fucking just roll and roll and roll and will not. So maybe about, I don't know, half and half. I'd probably say like 3/4 of his appearance then will be probably EOD tech, and the rest will be about him. Who knows? But anyways, so I'm excited.
So we got to start out with about him is what you got to do.
Yeah,
tell us.
Yeah, exactly.
Me how to say name? I'd be like Mike Villa Hermosa. Like,
yeah, Mike Villa Hermosa.
We got to let you say the name.
Villa Hermosa. Andale pues.
Hey, I got like 700-day streak on Duolingo.
Yeah, you gotta say it exactly. Bienvenidos tenemos a Miguel Villa Hermosa. Vamos yeah, exactly. All right, unless we could do it in German or Russian or whatever languages we got going on today. But anyways, yeah, so I'm excited.
Hi, Valerian.
What? Yeah.
I said hi, Valerian.
Who's Valerian? Hi, Valerian. What is that?
Exactly. See, that's a Tuesday. I won't. Just like I don't allow you to do Monday things.
Yes.
On
yes.
time, I will not do Tuesday things. On
that's yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So real quick before we Dankeschön, Pip. Ja, ganz genau. Ich bin alt. He said I was old. We're just going to do some main page review, main page, screen caps and stuff like that. Just kind of check things out. Also to kind of check the tech out live as we're doing it, because we had some tech drama going on when me and Massey, and I'm just trying to like fix it. So we're just kind of like doing this on the go like we always do. Real quick, reportedly now, a news report has been released, and this is no shit by and it has nothing to do with, well, see, that's the thing. It does have to do with the military. Just like smokes. I myself, when I was a smoker, I was the connoisseur of Marlboro Blend 27s when they first came out. And yeah, that was my preferred smoking product. And then
mine was Newport Box.
Yeah, or Camel Crush. Sometimes I would indulge myself in a Camel Crush. I still, to this day, since I've been retired, I'll go through some TA50 or I'll go through some stuff. I still got footlockers of freaking shit that I need to clean out. And I found a pack of Marlboro Lights, which was like when I first started smoking. I started light, and then I went to Reds, and it's like I have little pouches and pockets of everything going to different labels, so you can actually see the evolution of my smoking trip. Starting with Marlboro Lights, then Marlboro Reds, Camel Crushes, Newports, and then Marlboro Blend 27s. Well, Zyn, the nicotine pouches that everybody, all the Joes, you see them zinning back bad. I mean, I have never seen a phenomenon quite like this, where soldiers are using nicotine patches, which, I don't know, man. At least they're not smoking. You know what I mean? At least they're not. I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, it's nicotine. It's good. It's not good for you. I'm thinking, well, yeah, it's no different than a Rip It. It's no different than pre-workout.
You're not wrong. I mean, it's there. It's still better than inhaling it. It's just what it goes to.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, people have their little drugs of choices, and nicotine's not what is illegal. So.
Yeah. Well, my biggest thing is that I don't understand why there's leaders out there that are saying no zinning, no. If I see a Zyn pack, Oh, I used to. Oh
I
yeah.
bet that same leader goes home and like drinks like a handle of whiskey every other day too. So
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, Pip, yeah, at least it's not dip. See, oh yeah, I tried the dipping thing when I was much younger.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I tried it, man.
I just had a.
I tried. You get the chaw, you get the, you get the little thing there, you get the little can, and then you get the Copenhagen or Skull, and then that used to be my jam when I was way younger. Yes, yeah, they did have dip back in the day. Shut up. Chats are all. Why are they ragging on my age? Anyways,
I don't know what's up with this today.
I know what's up.
Y'all leave him alone.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all just
It's
picking
not
on
like
me.
he had another birthday yesterday or something. Y'all better stop. I will fight you.
Exactly. It's not like I had another 50 some odd. Dude, can you believe I'm almost 60? Anyways, but I make this look good. That's my thing. So let's go back to the smoking stuff. Or the chaw. I always laughed at the you can't smoke inside a government building and this and this when I was a Joe. But then I'd see like my S3 or my battle captain or my first sergeant. They're just sitting there with some big chaw. When they're spitting in a cup and like that. Man. Did my AARP card come in yet? No, it did not there, PZ. As a matter of fact, my AARP card, those guys have been sending me propaganda left and right to be, would you like to join? It's almost like it's almost like admitting that you're old when you're enrolling in AARP. I don't know. I just kind of like.
I would never, unless they give me like a real good discount on Diet Coke or something. My drug of choice still. No, but you're right. Like I've even tried the little pouch dip thing because again, I used to be a very heavy smoker when I was still in the Army.
Yep.
And I ran out of cigarettes once, like in the field, and I'm like, let me try that because like I wanted the nicotine, and the next thing you know, I'm like giving the supply sergeant $20. Like next time you go in, stop at the shopette. Keep the change.
Right.
So like
right,
I'm
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Yeah.
that was just the worst
Yeah.
thing I ever put in my mouth. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna do it. But I get it. Like everybody has like some kind of not everybody, that's like a thinking trap type thing, but everybody like, lots of soldiers have some type of addiction. If that's the worst one, they're not like doing meth.
I see it kind of like
Or even that they're not an alcoholic. They're not doing
Yeah.
something that's going to affect their performance
exactly
at work.
exactly.
It's not affecting their run times from like
Nope.
inhaling cigarette smoke.
Nope.
They're not going to come up hot on a urinalysis. They're not breaking federal law by dipping in the building and having a spit cup because that is breaking the law because it's like against tobacco products. I'm pretty sure if I go read it word for word. So leave them alone.
Yeah.
Like go find something else to be mad about.
Now think about this. Now, do you have like here's the thing with the nicotine stuff. Do you think that it should be separate from? Like it shouldn't be a big deal aside from just like where the pouches are at. Like when Massey was there and he was trying to shove a big old trying to shove in a freaking a pouch in his jaw while we were on air. Did you? I mean, and then of course throwing it. It's like waste. It's like cigarette butts. I just don't think anything about it. I really don't. I don't. I look at, like I said, pre-workout, Rip-Its, Monsters, coffee. If that's all they're doing, then yeah.
Like I guess with the pouch in your mouth, it would be just the same as like it's as unprofessional as like chewing gum would be. So would you chew gum in this situation? No, probably not.
No.
Like if in each situation, just think about it. Would you chew gum here?
No.
Like I don't know, at in a formation, depending, I guess. I would put the gum in the side of my mouth. Nobody would see it.
Right.
What kind of formation are we talking about? Is it a ceremony or is it y'all just call me out of my office because you want to get accountability for the 17th time today? Again, what kind of formation are we talking about? Like, am I going to hide in my mouth or am I going to spit it out before I go out there?
Well, if you're
am I saying that's right or wrong? I don't know.
Well, if you have a big old,
but I'm the leader usually in these formations. I'm still gonna hide my gum in my
I'm about
mouth
to say, sometimes you can't because you'll end up talking and fall in, and gum will fly out your mouth when you say it or something like that. And so the reason why I say that is there is a leader that went on the main. It was posted on the main page, and the leader decided to threaten CID. That was threatened with CID, and use specifically some like DNA and how you will not you won't. Well, let me just show you the pic. Let me just hear it. So really, I want to say this once, but whoever left Zim pouches in the APC 9 kilo backpack, next time I see that, I will be opening up a CID case on you. Opening a CID case on you so I can send it off to the Army Criminal Investigation Laboratory, USIL or something like that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, they can't even find missing soldiers. You want them to do?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. This is exactly, David. This is more petty. Exactly that, David. This is pettier than Richard Dan to David Petty. So once I had I once had a first sergeant who, if he caught you throwing a cigarette butts on the ground, he would tell you to eat them, or he'd start paperwork. I learned real quick to never do it again. The ingredients in Zin are food grade ingredients, and so it would be a lawful order. Now, this is the part right here. This is the way we do it in Vegas. This is how we do it in Vegas? What does that mean?
Okay, Elvis.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Okay, Elvis.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is how we're doing Vegas, which is impact. Just throwing it out there in the universe. Well, the universe is pretty wide there, First Sergeant. And guess what? We decided I could not stop laughing. Hey, what's up, King?
I can't either.
I can't stop laughing.
I hadn't even seen this one.
I could not stop laughing when I saw this. I'm like, you got to be kidding, man. This nuh-uh, but I can't. Come on, for Sergeant. First off, CID or the USASL is not going to freaking waste their time. Could you imagine getting like an official pouch?
I would love this. Like, how are you even? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
First of all, like, give me some chain of custody on this. I mean, like, this is like criminal law, like 101. Like, I took a CLEP test on this. Even like, I didn't even go to class. I watched enough Law and Order to take a CLEP
Dude,
test.
it's like I said on Twitter, as a veteran or as a as a frequent watcher of Boston Legal, I love that show. That's totally off key, but I love that show. Denny Crane and William Shatner and James Spader are awesome in that role. But I love that show. But at any rate, so this is how we do it in Vegas. Now look. Could you imagine working at USASL?
This is the kind of things we need names on. Sorry.
See, that's the thing. I mean, I engage somebody in the audience. Now, you guys notice that when there's a post that I do or I post, I'll put my name. I'll put -Ken, or I'll engage inside the chats with me. I'm not anonymous. And somebody said, "Hey, you're freaking making this up." I'm like, the one time the main page accidentally didn't redact a phone number in a chat. And it was a real person. And then I said, how real was that? I mean, we fucked up. I mean, I'll admit it. We messed up. Yeah. And the main page is usually pretty good about it. But, the noobs going in there and doing their stuff. And they left a phone number in a chat unredacted. And this dude was getting freaking... This is fucked up, you're a shitbag, burger. And I'm like, oh, man, what happened? And then the next thing you know, my phone's blowing, like my phone. U.S. Army Europe leaders freaking calling me up, and I'm like, dude, man, I'd much rather have a code red.
See,
yeah,
this is why it couldn't be me in charge, because their names would be on all of these.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
This first sergeant sent this text message. That's why I'm not in charge of it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I call out spitty too much.
Yeah, WTF Nation policies.
Okay,
yes, yeah, that keeps the sanctity of it, because there's other. Yeah, because like I said, the leader that was that had, and I'll take responsibility for that too. I should have caught it as well, but busted. So it was a guy that was getting a bunch of stuff. At any rate, could you imagine being at USASL and all of a sudden a pouch comes in? Oh, I mean, just like the mail comes in, and you're like, oh, okay, it's time to go to work, and you open it up, and you're like, what's this? A Zin pouch?
Like, what? I would call this first sergeant myself.
Yeah,
like, what is wrong with you?
I would look around and say, am I getting pranked here? What's going on? Why? What's up with this Zin
where's
pouch?
the hidden camera?
Yeah, What is this? And then it says, hey, could you imagine? It's like, hey, check this out. That's how we do it in Vegas. Thanks, First Sergeant. The lab would be laughing.
This First Sergeant is probably the one that had to eat the cigarette butt. That's why he's so butthurt about it, because now they have, I don't know, Zin with food grade ingredients.
Yeah.
and then he can't make them eat it because it's not going to hurt them.
Oh my, exactly. What's funny is because
They're like, okay.
the audience, of course, the WTF Nation never disappoints. They can get quite savage in the comments, and they're like throwing their specifics on how they would do it. And one of them was like, by the way he would have received a whole backpack of empty Zen containers the next day in Texas. Woo! At a bit, that's how we do it in Vegas. Let's see. Another one is this a Nevada guard? Oh man. So that was the kind of the chuckle of that. I don't. Hey, first sergeant. Yeah. I'll wait till Mike comes on and ask him what happened if his first sergeant to that. Gen Z, can I please use my stress card? Oh man, I'm dispelling that rumor. David.
Stop with it. Yeah, there is no such thing as a stress card.
That is the. I'm Dave. I'm tell you, bro. That's the. I don't want to say that's the old.
That's been a rumor since I was in basic.
Yeah,
and I am like, what is that? Gen X. Yeah.
So here's where the stress card drama first started. I'm not picking on you, David. I'm just giving you the. Remember back in the day when they used to have mood rings? And
had one of those.
Yeah, and it would change color and all that. ACS back in the day to kind of like when you were sitting in the office waiting to be seen for whatever. Gary said he's going to sell them online. They used to have these cards, and the stress card was basically a card, and it says, are you stressed? Put your thumb on this and you'll see how stressed you are. And I'll tell you what, that has been the biggest freaking urban legend that started because, the kids would say, I'll pull up my stress card, blah, blah, blah. That started that urban legend. So supposedly if you had a specific amount of color in your when you put your thumb in. Here's an example from VCore, Fifth Core, Health and Fitness, Fit to Win. It basically that was the legend that everybody would kind of like use that, and it was kind of like, I don't know, biofeedback card, almost like the Pet Rock or the Mood Ring. That I'm sorry, that was what caused the urban legend to say we're handing out stress cards, and and that's basically like I said. Private Ramos, back in when I first joined in 1989, and went to basic, and back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, when I when I did that, I had a stress card, and I got that from ACS. And boy, I did that old man voice pretty good. Anyways, so that was the card. That was the card, but this was the card that everyone thought that was we're handing out stress cards. We're handing out stress cards. Just like how, guys in the infantry or in the combat arms unit would say, I remember we had a unit and we used to stuff a lieutenant and we put him in a wall locker and we threw him out the second floor window and hit the ground. We're like, ha ha ha. I'm like, bro, if you did that to a lieutenant back in the 90s, like you say, your ass would have been court-martialed. You would have been an example. You would have been in every copy of Military Times, Army Times, Federal Times, Marine Corps Times. You would have been in all that and all those periodicals. This is before social media. And you'd be like, oh man, did you hear about those fucking platoon sergeants that threw that lieutenant and put him inside a freaking wall locker and second story window and then they showered him with stress cards? You know what I mean? That's be like
right next to a Private Murphy cartoon.
Right next to a Private Murphy cartoon, and then opened up a backpack full of Zen pouches. Oh my god!
And we'd have been smoking cigarettes, talking about you in the smoke pit.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't have vapes yet, or Zen pouches.
No, probably about that time, me and you, Spanky, would be in the S3 shop going, "Hey, Spanky, you got some of them? You got them Camel Crushes or 27s? Did you hear about that lieutenant that got chucked out? No, bullshit. Yeah, he got chucked out." And that's how it grows. That's how that urban legend grows. So it's like when people talk about the stress cards. and I just got. Hey, there you go. Someone sent me the link to the one in ACS. Thank you so much. Boy, you guys.
Yeah, I was actually looking for it. I knew I had it somewhere. I was looking for it too. I know I had that thing saved.
There you go.
My list of things that have been saved, I need to like reorganize on this new computer.
Yeah, there you go. Someone sent me the link. There you go. There was the Army Community Service stress card that they used to give, and it was like said, hold thumb on square and count to 10 to indicate your stress level. Well, there's just some people that.
And I love how it. I love how it always says use only at room temperature between 70 and 74 degrees. When I was in basic, if I was ever at room temperature between 70 and 74 degrees, for one, I'd usually fall asleep, and I was never stressed when it was at room temperature. Between
That's what I'm saying because
degrees.
Yeah.
The only time I was there, I was sleeping because at night. And then it was hot.
All it was a heat strip indicator to indicate heat,
Yes.
And so when you hit that. Like me, come on, you're stationed in areas like Fort Hood. Like I was stationed at Fort Hood, dude. And if I saw that, or you're back east in the south.
Yeah, I went to Jackson for basic in Gordon for my first AIT. So whatever they're called now, I can't remember what Gordon just changed to.
Fort Eisenhower.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, Fort Eisenhower. Which don't even start on the name changes. Man, we got ripped off, Spanky. We got ripped off.
I know.
They asked us for help and we gave them, and they didn't even name it. Well, no, they did for Greg Adams. Remember the Charity Adams, the one of the officers that led the Postal Battalion in World War II. They at least they kind of looked at that. I kind of feel like we're a little bit involved in that. I like that. Hey, I'll say it. Well, we're kind of involved. But to name for
go ahead.
No,
Eisenhower. That was it. I couldn't remember.
Fort Eisenhower. They have a hospital named Fort Eisenhower on Fort Eisenhower now. That's like calling Fort Bragg Fort Liberty. I even did the artwork for them. That's what I did. You're right. No, you're right, cause we did do the artwork for them when we had we had Warhol. We had our WTF Nation graphics artists knock out what would the signs look like if we had named them the way we were pitching them to, and man, dude, it's like, I mean, come on, dude. We had Fort Alwyn Cash. We had Fort Harriet Tubman. We had Fort Gregory Benavides. Yeah, for Fort Hood. We had Fort Gavin or Fort Ridgeway for Fort Bragg, which is now Fort Liberty. That's like naming Fort Liberty though Fort Womack after the hospital.
I love. You know me, I love it. That one's my favorite.
The Fort Bragg one? Oh my God, I know.
No, it is because it just so upsets everybody. Who loves that name? Come on, except for me, of course.
Yeah, or Fort Moore. See,
I love it because I'm so petty.
You're petty. Yeah, I was about to say, welcome to Petty Town. No, because Fort Moore. Here's the thing about Fort Moore is that I get what the respect was for Fort Moore. I really do. I mean, it was a respectful event. We had Fort Charity Adams early. That it was like our suggestions. Yeah, exactly. Our suggestions were treated like the dream sheet stuff. And we again, I'm just saying it was one of those things to where, man, it kind of sucked that they didn't. I'm butthurt. I'll just say it. I'm butthurt. I'm upset that they didn't choose our stuff, and I just. It's
probably why, because that like the people that send these text messages, they were probably the ones on the naming committee. Like, no, I put my text message on.
Wait a minute. They posted my stuff on WTF Moments. I don't think so. No, but I was just saying. No, I don't care. No, but look. Look at this. This is how we did it, No, shut up, Fine. You're not going to.
Nope. I saw my text message that I sent because I want them to not. Yeah. I don't want the kids to have beards, and I don't want them to be able to put dip in their mouths.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're on the Zen pouches. The Zen pouches stuff. This is BS.
We're going to name Fort Bragg Fort Liberty just because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Blame me.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to blame Spanky.
They're going to blame Spanky and blame
me if you want.
Who is this guy that who is this guy no, for real. This is what we were going to name it.
Sure, and Spanky, your name would have been on that text.
Exactly. You're lucky. Yeah. Spanky's name there. Who the hell's Spanky's on here? Who is the Spanky? Spanky doing what? But yeah, my whole point is that the base rename was we had let's see, I think we had, let me pull it up. I'm gonna change the screen right quick. Here's what we had up for. This was a Fort Lee, and then we had Fort Harriet Tubman was the other one. That's what it was. And then we had Fort Pistawa for JRTC, and it's now Fort Johnson. And then, of course, Fort Benavides, home of the Armored Corps. Of course, there we go, Fort Benavides. And then for Fort Moore, we had Fort Alwyn Cache, home of the General Sherman's Maneuver Center of Excellence. Exactly that. Who wouldn't want Fort Sherman? We even had, again, so we even used the exact font and the exact the way it looks, and I'm like, why are you guys upset? How come you guys didn't want that? Again, nothing against Hal Moore and his wife. I'm just saying that's right. That's what we had thought, and there's a lot of individuals that didn't know who Hal Moore was, and I mean there are some. What's this movie? What do you mean we were soldiers once? And what is that? Isn't this Is that who's that? Why is Mel Gibson doing this? It's like, is it The Passion of the Cav? Is that what this is called? I'm sorry. I'm not throwing no disrespect on Hal Moore, General Moore, and the spouse for what they've done. Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. Nicole's out. They specifically didn't choose those names because we posted it, because we talked about it. We had some good feedback when we talked about it. Remember, we
did. We really
was like,
did.
yeah.
I mean, it's okay.
Cause Fort Ramos, but they went with Liberty. What the fuck?
I know.
No, stop. There are plenty of individuals that were, there are plenty of individuals that are that are way, but no. I don't like talking about myself.
I mean,
I feel I would be embarrassed.
But I do like the Liberty thing.
Yeah.
And I do get why they did it, because there really is just too many people like that have been a brag, and that, I guess that was their reason that they said they did Liberty. I just think it's funny because
it wasn't named out. Yeah,
so
it wasn't named. Well, see, here's
the only one named after a person.
Right. Well, it was funny because if you guys don't know some of the background, if you guys are new followers to WTF Nation Radio, Spanky and I spoke with, like, we interacted with the Benavides family, and we're like, hey, we think that this would be good. The family did want Fort Hood to be Benavides because he was a Texan and he was a local hero. Well, I wouldn't say local. He was a statewide hero for what he did after he got out of the military, and used to go speak to students to kind of motivate them to say, hey, look, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you do, blah, blah, blah. You serve your country, you do this, be part of the community. His speeches, you can just go on YouTube and just look at Master Sergeant Benavides' high school speech or whatever, and he would just pump. I mean, dude, to this day, I watch videos like that. Sometimes will hit my feed, and or sometimes it'll just hit me. I'll see a file like right now. I'll talk. Oh man, Benavides, man, that guy was a legend. That guy really knew. You know what I mean? He was just so down to earth. So when we talked about it, I got some of my media friends and some of my other friends was like, well, I mean, you special operations in Fort Bragg, SOF and Green Berets and all that, and SOF. How come you didn't How come you didn't advocate for SOF and not say And why did you
Because Texas better than SOF.
Because Texas, exactly. And like I said, it was for me. It was one of those. Kind of respected to the family, the Benavides family, and all the discussions that you and I had with them, and then his daughter. I think his daughter was the one that was more of a would have been more would have been a bigger impact, more impactful than naming it Fort Benavides for Fort Bragg. Nah, I would have.
All right. I mean, again, this is like home. There's a difference between home.
Right. Exactly. That's where he's from.
Texas home.
Yeah, Texas is
Bragg
his home.
Is just where he was.
Yeah, exactly. Bragg was where he was at. Now, Fort Gavin or Fort Ridgeway for Fort Bragg, because that is where Airborne That's where airborne, airborne, home of the airborne, 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 airborne,
Oh,
airborne,
how many times can you say it?
airborne. Because you know who was there first? Airborne. Can't brag. It was 82nd Airborne, right? Airborne, right? It was Ridgway and Gavin that paid the pioneers.
No, I don't know anything about that.
Because, Fort Bragg didn't get soft until 1952 after it was created by, oh my God, I'm going to break, my PSYOP shirt's probably going to burn and my little ghost is probably going to catch on fire behind me. But it was started at Cav, Fort Riley. It was started by a Cav officer, General McClure. General McClure was the guy that started the Psy-War Center at Fort Riley. Cav, he was a Cav officer. So you pretty much say Cav is PSYOP or SF or Civil Affairs. I'm pretty much soft.
You can pretty much go ahead and say AG and finance are too. Just go ahead and make everybody mad tonight.
Just piss off a bunch of branches. No, but to go back on the history, the history. Oh yeah, Casper. Hey, what's up, man? Basically infantry. Exactly that. Basically, you know what? If you were a Cav scout and you wanted to reclass to infantry and you have jump wings, you don't have to go to school. So what does that tell you? If you got jump wings, you're basically infantry Cav. So again, that's why I was like,
basic training. You're basically infantry.
Oh man, no, I literally I had some seasoned soft individuals hit me up and it wanted to call me up and discuss about, Ken, why are you doing this, man? I'm like, what are you talking about? You're like, but you're soft. I'm like, yeah, so what? I said, I'm looking at the historical heritage portion of Fort Bragg, Camp Bragg, whatever you want to call it, and where, that's like, it's like McClure just started up the Psy-War Center and goes, I'm going to move it to Camp Bragg, Fort Bragg. I'm going to move to Fort Bragg. And then the next, he just takes it over and then tells Aaron Bake, all right, we're going to go ahead and create a, 10 Special Forces Group, 1952. We're going to go ahead. Hey, Aaron Bake, you, blah, blah, blah. Let's go do this, blah, blah, blah. And next, he creates it. And then Bragg is like, okay, cool. Welcome. Yeah. Hey, Fort Bragg. Yeah. Welcome. You're airborne. Yep. Yeah. Cool. And then all of a sudden they want to take over the lineage with it by Benavides. Benavides is a Texan. Benavides has been part of the Texas community post service that has been intertwined with, growing and raising up young people. I mean, just not men, but men and women to serve and, understand that calling. And so it's like, Spanky, you get a blue cord. You get a blue cord. Are you airborne qualified? You get a good blue cord. A network friend said that I know that a blue cord, the only useful blue cord is the one that hooks up to the server. Ooh, and so yeah.
I mean, I know how to work those ones.
Yeah, no, we might as well. Actually, we have yellow. I think, what kind of cord do I have here? I have. I'm trying to see what's connected to the network here. They're zipper cords. No, I don't have zipper cords. Shut up. But yeah, we got a lot of crap. WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio got a lot of crap for not, for the Fort Bragg one. Oh my God. Oh, why didn't you? Why are you? Like what? What are you talking about? What do we do? Yeah, your branch gets a beret. You get a beret. Everybody gets a. You get a beret. General Saseki, I want a beret. You get a beret. You ever notice that General Saseki, when he retired, he wasn't wearing his beret. He was wearing his bus driver hat. So I'm just saying, just throwing that out there.
He still was. He was. I never did go check his stuff portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. Nicole, I'm reading that like Greta Thunberg. How dare you? The network stuff. How dare you? How dare you say the blue cord's only useful when it's cut up to the network? At any rate. But yeah, so again, hey, the names were named. We sent it in. WTF Moments, WTF Nation, Spanky and I were the ones that. I wonder what they did with all the files, all that stuff that we turned in when we were turning on and all this stuff.
They put it on your OMPF.
Yeah,
updating ours.
They're like
that retiree recall.
They're like, yeah, exactly. Wait a minute. Is this the same guy? Wait a minute. This is the same guy. Wait, is this the same guy that posted memes about Fort Bragg? Yeah. Oh no, we're not letting him back in. Oh, sorry, Major Ramos. You're not coming back in. Sorry about that, sorry, Ramos. What are you talking about? Sorry, Major Ramos, you're not coming in. Oh, you can come in as a specialist though, but you're not coming in. What are you talking about? We saw your memes. And who was the Spanky?
They put mine right next to my tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Who's a Spanky individual trying says right here, Spanky and Ice want to be in the same battalion. What is all this? Wait, wait, that's the one that put the memes in. That's the one that was talking crap about Bragg. Denied.
Well, it's kind of funny because I just got hit up by a former soldier of mine because another former soldier of mine is about to retire.
Oh, okay.
Both of these two former soldiers are both very senior NCOs now.
Oh, wow.
So I was making a little, video congratulating, for his retirement ceremony. And
Right.
I'm thinking back and I'm like, and I need to look. I'm pretty sure they're both at Eisenhower right now too. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm gonna have to go check that because they'll be the ones that are putting these in my file now.
Right, exactly. No, I did. I did. It was no joke. Me and Spanky did talking about coming back in and doing all that stuff. So at the one time we were. So there was going to be Spanky withdrew her packet, and then I withdrew my packet. Well, Spanky was like at a maybe I should. No, hell no, I'm not submitting this. Yeah. And then it was me that went yeah, and then it was like no, denied. So yeah, we tried. We but still, again, I just go back to the name changes, man. We tried, guys. WTF Nation tried. And it didn't work. So there you go. I guess we didn't really fail. We just, just kind of like, not gonna. Oh well, that's all you can do. Okay. Anyways, so what's the next? Speaking. So you were talking about the Zen pack, the Zen packs and stuff like that. There's currently a shortage. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
Currently in the AP system.
No, I did not.
In the exchange system currently. Currently right now, they're due to a Zen
interesting.
shortage.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my hustle on.
Yeah, I'm about to say by myself. I thought you didn't use packs and stuff. No. I'll get my hustle on. So somebody said how to cripple the entire junior enlisted corps. Go after Copenhagen and Skull is how going after Copenhagen and Skull is how the entire NCO corps is crippled. Enforce Zen, not standards. Oh, Casper, you right. Nicole says your names are on a watch list in the Army somewhere. Girl, tell me about it.
Been there.
we are. Oh man, but it was funny. What was funny is that somebody asked, me and Spanky back a couple of years back when we were doing our meet and greets, and we just did a meet and greet at Fort Carson, by the way, and we're gonna start some more up. But when we were doing a meet and greet, somebody said, has anybody tried to bar you from base? And I'm like, that's a good question. Would you do you think a unit would do that? Do you think an organization would
Oh yeah, absolutely. If they could,
yeah,
we'd see the text message. One of the, they'd send it in. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Spanky
and Ice, Spanky and Ice. Exactly. Now Casper's right, man. I go to Fort Liberty, and I set up a PSD. I literally have every time I go to Fort Liberty, I literally have saying, "Hey, where you at? Who you staying? What hotel? Are you okay?" I'll get a phone call in the morning because I will. I don't know why. I don't know why people would think that I would need a PSD for Fort Liberty, because I don't know. Yeah, name on the watch list we're not on. Yeah, exactly that, dude. Not to mention the fact that Russia and Belarus banned us, so we're on a banned list. But yeah, remember the commissary cards you can only buy? Oh yeah, ration cards. Oh, when you were stationed in Europe. Yep.
Oh yes.
Yep. You see, cause
funny story about those.
Spanky plus Ice equals spice. Exactly.
Funny story about that. But I went to Korea the last time. I brought my daughter with me. So during the whole in processing thing, they were like, okay, if you're command sponsored, you can buy 5 bottles of alcohol a month. If you're not, you can only buy 3. Okay, I get there like the first week of December.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna have a couple people over for Christmas.
Right.
All right. Like I have a couple of soldiers from my unit at Hood, Cab now.
Fort Cab,
but and a couple that are up in Seoul, a couple are here. So I'm like, all of these are people, and I, command sponsor. So I have my own apartment off post.
Right.
So I'm inviting people over. So I buy 5 bottles of alcohol, right? Like 5. And I get in trouble the next month. I Sergeant Major calls me and he's like, Sergeant Spanky bought 5 bottles of alcohol. I'm like, yeah, like at a Christmas party. Yeah, I still like none of these 5 bottles are even empty, right? And I'm like, he's like, you're only allowed to buy 3. I'm like, no, they told me I'm allowed to buy 5. I'm command sponsored. He's like, if you had an adult dependent, you would be allowed to buy 5.
Well, see, that's the thing. Are you gonna
have
hand
a child?
Yeah, exactly. Are you gonna hand that over to the PX though? We need to know your information about your kids. Which baby mom are we talking about? Hang on, let me put which baby mom what? Let me put baby mama on here right here. Baby mama 5. Could you?
I'm like, well, they didn't clarify that. No.
Yeah, exactly. Baby mama 5. Could you go ahead and just clarify that I got an adult kid? But yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
Statutes of limitations. We're talking. Statute of limitations is over. I made so much money selling my rations in Korea. You know what? How long are statute of limitations for ration card stuff? I will say that I'm gonna have to find out before I start admitting openly online. Because
allegedly we used to make money.
Allegedly, I used to do a side gig as well. I'm just saying. Allegedly.
Allegedly, I used to pay my housekeeper with cheese slices and hot dogs.
I'm gonna tell you what, being in Germany, and there are certain things in Germany that Germans cannot get, but for some reason we just get them that Germans just go ape shit on. I mean, they go nuts over the simplest things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
And the next
freaking hot dogs.
Or chicken wings or something like that. You're cooking stuff like that. They go nuts. Und Ken, could you send us some? Und Dr. Pepper. What? Und can I have a case? A case? How much is a case? I go 24. Okay, und give me a case from Dr. Pepper and I'll please. And I'm like, I just something I couldn't believe that people were like that was. I felt kind of dirty. I'm like, is this right? Can I go ahead and do this? Am I gonna blue jeans? There you go, blue jeans. Oh my god,
it's cheese.
5 no.
Blue jeans are a big deal.
Oh my god. Oh man, I'm not gonna tell you the amount that I ever done that before, but I will say there have been several 501 jeans. Levi's in Germany are like the big fucking. That's the big right there. That's that. I'm just saying right now, if you were to ever sell your Levi's, and in Deutschland, that's the place to do it. Und Ken, 501? What are you talking about? Levi's. Oh, Levi's. Oh, yeah. Levi. And then, of course, I have German family, so it was easy for me. I didn't care. I mean, they were family. They were German. They were my family, so I could, give it to some of my cousins and stuff like that. And they were like, dude, you could buy a pair of Levi's, and it was like you gave them gold or Bitcoin or something like that. They would cherish that shit for life. And you're like, man, like I said, it would be like, oh, so what do you want?
Well, it's not that you're not doing anything illegal if you're giving it to someone as a gift. It gets shady if they're reselling it. I don't even think I was breaking sofa.
It's shady if you look at the AFIS truck and have a box magically fall off the truck.
Yeah.
That's when it's shady, But yeah.
And even when I say I was paying my housekeeper in hot dogs and cheese slices, like they were going home and eating that. They weren't selling it. So to me, it was like no different than paying my housekeeper with cash.
Just
she wanted me to pay her in food that it wasn't just hot dog and cheese slices. She wanted me to pay her in food that she couldn't get. And like I said, she's going home and feeding her family with this. I didn't see anything like morally or ethically wrong with it.
Right.
I know it probably was. If I went and read word for word, I was probably doing something wrong. But again, she's not reselling it. I'm not making any money. I'm just paying her in food instead of cash.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh man, when I would say, hey, I'm gonna have a barbecue. You want to come, bro? I couldn't barbecue, and you know how to cook. I'm like, what do you mean I know how to cook? I used to make fucking tacos or something like that, or I used to carnitas or freaking carne asada. Man, you thought I even cooked. I even catered a party. One time all I did was just cook beans and rice. That's all I did.
Well,
I cooked beans and rice.
That's what you did.
That's all I did. That's all I did was cook beans and rice. And these guys thought they were calling me Meister Chef. Und Ken is the Meister Chef. Und did you have tacos from Ken? Oh man, he made good tacos. Oh my God, he made these tacos. And I'm like, well, okay, cool, thanks. I just make it just like Mom used to make. So Would you give us the recipe? No, sorry. I can't give you the recipe because you don't have the food items here to make it. You wouldn't, when I left Germany,
right.
As a gift, I had a farewell kind of like little hangout, and I had little gifts and stuff like that for some of my German friends, and that's what I did. I was like, hey, this is how you make, and I gave some recipe cards on how, and this is how you do this. Here's how you make chorizo and eggs con papas, and here's how you do this, and then there, exactly. DJ Ken and the barbecue. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I could just imagine Owens. Yeah, he would have to Ken. Oh, yeah, welcome. Sorry, I just. So, anyways, yeah, it was funny.
I know.
It was just funny to see that shit. So. We're gonna take a break. We gotta get Mike prepped up, and then that way we can rock and roll. And I am pumped. Mike Villahermosa, Villa Hermosa, as you would say. We got Mike Villahermosa coming on.
Yes, we do.
He gonna come on here and talk about that. He gonna talk about that EOD. Talk about the Hurt Locker. I am gonna ask him that.
Say it.
I will ask him that.
Villa Hermosa.
Yeah,
Villa Hermosa.
I
can say it. Villa Hermosa. There we go.
Villa Hermosa. So,
I'm sorry. Villa
Hermosa. Anyways, we're going to take a break. We're going to get everything set up and enjoy the break and shots. See you in a few.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue.
Nothing feels the same. Let it all be All you techies and TV addicts, don't mean to this, don't mean to bring static. All you Klingons in your grandma's house, grab your backstreet friend and get loud, blowing doors off inches, grab you with the pinches. And no, I didn't retire, I'll snatch you off with the needle nose pliers.
With the evil you never seen before, gliding in the glaze, like gold creek in the fucking face. Like a racing with the bass, so not goofy like they're in a haste, so I'm a hip-hop making it nice with practice me running that you know. Oh, remain calm, no belong, cause my form ain't fast, so what's up with that? I got friends and family that I respect. When I think I'm too good, they put me in check. Don't believe when they say I'm no better than you, except when I rap, so I guess it ain't true like that, Joel, and you just don't stop. Guaranteed to make your body rock.
Check it out. What's it all about? Work it out. Let's turn this party out. Check it out. What's it all about? Work it out. Let's turn this party out.
Say, Doc, what's the condition? I'm a man that's on a mission. Son, you better listen. Stuck in your wall is an electrician. Like the scientist, when I'm applying this method of controlling my mind like Einstein or rap the Duke of What? Now, hey, nigga, but now what the deal? I didn't know you go for that massive deal. So I'm calling to Lucci, some potato. I stole your mic, but you won't see it later. Cause I work magic like a magician. I add up the mathematician, the bank cashier, engineer. I wear cotton and
I'm going to cruise past ya. Don't money, don't jump yourself. Put that back on the shelf. Brains blazing, you out of phase in. My crew's amazing. We're working on the record, just think shit. Check it out. What's it all about? Work it out. Let's turn this party out. Check it out. What's it all about? Work it out. Let's turn this party out.
now I go by the name of the King Admiral. I don't wear a cup nor a job. I bring the that's beyond bizarre, like Miss Piggy. I am the one with the clientele. You say at rock, you rock so well. I got class like pink champagne. MTA got no.
What is this Facebook Live? I've never heard of this shit.
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Captain Mike Villahermosa. I'm sorry, I just had to do the techno music there. What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Oh man, I've been pumped to have you on, and you were definitely not freaking. Dude, we have so much to talk about. We have so much to talk about.
I hear the Hurt Locker's coming up, right?
Okay, fine. We got to hear it. I got to hear it. Hurt Locker. What's your take on the Hurt Locker?
Oh, it's the greatest movie of all time. No. All joking aside, that movie came out when I was a student, right?
Oh, wow.
And so I was going through EOD school, and like the instructors started like, "Well, you guys are the Hurt Locker generation." I'm like, I was here before it came out in theaters. Like, that's not fair, right? There's a lot of stuff. I will tell you that movie did, a lot of good things in the fact that it showed what EOD was at a time when, 2009, not a lot of people really knew what was going on. We were getting ready to start, two really IED-centric wars. One had already been going in full tilt. And so it definitely aided in recruiting. Now, is it a good movie? Like, I guess if you look at it from a cinematic perspective, it won Best Picture, it must be okay, right? If you look at it from the lens of a military person or an EOD tech, it's terrible. It's terrible. There's some good scenes in it, right? The scene at the end of the movie where, he's walking through the grocery store and he's just like, the way the movie counts down his deployment time going back to the States, and then he gets back to the States and he's like, it's time to go deploy again. Like, that part's pretty accurate. I feel like most people that have, did Afghanistan, Iraq understand that pretty well.
Oh yeah. You get kind of frustrated at some normal life events that you're like, just send me back. Just send me back. Cause you get used to the drill of the repetition of, patrolling, well, with you, in your case, how did you even start? What was your, I would say, what was your evolution to become who you are today?
So not standard. I came in on an 18 X-ray contract. I came in as a special forces candidate. So my brother came through the 18 X-ray program when it was a pilot program in 2002.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
And so he made it, right out of high school. 9/11 had just happened. He made it right through the program. And my brother, you have to understand, when he went to selection, I think he weighed like 112 pounds. Like, that's not a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, damn, if he can do it, I can do it. Right. So I signed up for an 18 X-ray contract in 2008. And guess what? Turns out I couldn't do it. I was a non-select.
Okay.
And so like, I literally, came off Camp McCall, went back main side, and they were like, hey man, you want to go EOD? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And they're like, well, it's not ground pounding in the 82nd. You want to try it out? And I'm like, yeah, I'll go check it out. Right. So I went and talked to the EOD recruiters on then Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty. And I had no idea what it was. Like, just no idea. Right. They're showing me ordnance, and you had to do a bomb suit test and a chem suit test. And it's the middle of North Carolina, and they're smoking the dog shit out of you. And it's like the entire time I had this motivating factor. I was like, well, if I don't make it through this, I'm going to the 82nd. And not that that's a bad thing, right? It's just not what I signed up to do. And so went to EOD school phase 1 in, at the time, Huntsville, Alabama. Now it's at Fort Gregg Adams. And that's when it kind of hit me like, oh, like, I'm going to learn explosives, and I'm going to learn ordnance, and I'm going to learn IEDs, and I'm going to learn how to hopefully take care of that stuff. Right. Knock on wood.
Right.
And so phase 1 for EOD school was 2 months in Redstone, Alabama, and then moved down here to Florida, where I'm currently at, for 7 to 9 months of phase 2. So 36 weeks, 143 training days total. And I didn't think I was gonna make it through school. I mean, like, I was so serious about getting through school that I was too serious. And I don't know if someone's listening, they probably understand, like, an EOD tech knows what that means, right? I was so hell bent on making it through EOD school that I was failing tests. I was taking myself way too seriously. And like, I had failed like 6 tests in a row. So in EOD school, you fail once, that's okay. You get a retest. You fail twice, that's bad. Right. Then you go to an academic review board, and potentially, back then, if you went to an academic review board, statistically, you weren't coming back. Right. The attrition rate is pretty high. But I was single tapping tests. I was only failing one test, and then I'd pass the next test, and I'd fail a test, and I'd pass a test, right? And like, I was like, dude, I'm like in Florida, and I'm taking myself way too seriously. It's like, I'm about to fail out of this school, and I will have never enjoyed Florida. So I started going to the beach, right? And I started drinking some beers, and I guess it brought me down a peg, because I never failed another test after that.
Yeah. It's just like jump master school. Once you've been humbled by failing a jump master's course, you will be humbled. You will be humbled, because you're failed. I mean, to hear that you're failed. It works on your psyche, man. It makes you. It feels like, oh my God, dude, I failed, and like you said, you have to get that reboot. My third time attending Jumpmaster School, that was the one that I was almost honor graduate, because at that point, like you, I was kind of like, I need to take myself. I need to lighten up. I need to. Exactly that.
The joke here is that EOD school is not hard. It's easy to fail. Like that's the joke, right?
Right.
And it is. I mean, it's like, it's a ton of tests, 32 tests currently. You literally learn something, you test on it, and then you learn something new, and then you test on that. And like you just do that for 143 training days. That's not including weekends. Our students show up to school at 5:30 in the morning for study hall. From 5:30 to 8 a.m., they're in study hall. And then from 8 a.m. to 1600, they're in class. Then they come back over to main site. It's about 13 miles away, the range where EOD school is taught. It's about 13 miles away from, the main battalion. They come back, they do PT, they eat chow, they go to bed, they do it again. Like rinse, wash, repeat. Now the weekends are their own. We don't mess with them, right?
Okay, now so you say you're part of the cadre, right?
The collective, yeah. So I'm actually a company commander down here now. It's wild. So
okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to say, like, this is a great place to be, but we expect a lot out of our student population here, right? Because when they go out to the force, as it lies right now, an EOD company would support a maneuver brigade, right? Which means a platoon is going to support a battalion, which means an EOD team is going to support a company.
Gotcha.
Right. So I'm going to take in a deployed environment 3 people and put them with an infantry company. Right. And I expect them to be able to do everything. Right. I expect them to be able to give a capabilities brief. I expect them to be able to talk to that company command team and make a good relationship. Right. There's normally a staff sergeant, an E5 and, an E3 or an E4. Right. And I expect them to be successful. It's a lot of trust that we put in our people, And so if you can't do that here at school, then I don't want you to do it out in the force, if that makes sense. Right.
No, you're
so
right.
we have a very high standard for the people that, we're putting through EOD school. There's no like badge protecting or anything like that. I know that comes up all the time. The tests are fair. The tests are validated through the Navy. It is a Navy school, right? It's a joint service school run by the Navy.
Gotcha.
We have Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines teaching, right? It's a small community. And the end state is that we want to put the best people out into the force that can liaise with anybody, right? Because when it comes to EOD, you could have a Marine Corps EOD team in Afghanistan supporting the Army. You could have an Air Force team supporting the Marines. Like it's just, it's plug and play back then. That's how it worked. So we need to have the ability to, show some emotional intelligence and be able to actually get along with everyone else.
Right, exactly. Specifically with that, you have to have, like you were just saying, a small element to provide a capes brief. You also have to have some maturity on that it's that trust. I know. How big is a normal? I mean, without getting too specifics, but about an average, what's the size of a team, an EOD team, when they go support the force?
I mean, it's 2 to 3 people.
Okay.
Like that's it, right? So we can operate with 2 people. 3 people is, kind of preferred where we're at right now, given the current MTO. But like, look, we're just like everyone else in the Army. We're hurting for people, right? I think that's not a secret. And so if you're listening to this and you want to go EOD, do it, right? Go to your local EOD company, because we're everywhere. I mean, if you're, when we talk about OCONUS locations, we're in Alaska, we're in Korea, we're in Hawaii, we're in Germany. But any major installation, there's EOD there, and you can literally just show up to the shop and knock on the door and be like, I want to be EOD, and someone will walk you through the process. Like as an EOD tech, that's one of our favorite things, right? Is when somebody shows up and they're like, please help me. We're like, yeah, let's get you into into school, right?
Let's get you into school, but first you got to put the suit on.
Yeah.
Is that
we're gonna smoke.
You're gonna smoke the dog shit out of you. Is there? I mean, does that scare a lot of pre like guys who come in? They're like, yeah, I'm gonna be OD in this, and then the suit is like a game changer once they put it on. Is that a?
So like, yeah, the suit test is standardized now, right? So like when I told you I did it at Fort Bragg in 2008, it wasn't a standardized test. You showed up to an EOD unit, you say, hey, I want to do EOD, and they put you in a bomb suit and they put you in a chem suit, and it was the worst hour to 2 hours of your life, right? Now everything is standardized. It's at Fort Greg Adams at phase 1. So when service members show up, and we'll talk Army, right? So when soldiers show up, they literally take a bomb suit test, right? And it is standardized. What the expectations are, they're laid out, for them. We expect them to carry a 155 X number of distance. We expect them to do cognitive testing. But yeah, people do freak out in the bomb suit because it's one of those things that until you're in it, like, you just don't know. I think I just made a Hurt Locker quote, unfortunately, right? You know, when you're in it.
I was about to say, wait a minute.
but like, it's heavy. It's very quiet, right? Because your ears and everything are muffled from sound. So everything's kind of muffled. There's some mics in there, but your field of vision is, it's fishbowl. You can't see a whole lot, right? And so people that are claustrophobic struggle with that. And that's why it's one of the first tests that's accomplished, because if you're going to fail the bomb suit test, better do that in the beginning than, in the middle of school when we spend a bunch of money sending you through training, right?
Right. Is there a retest? Like if we just had a bad day or something like that, or, hey man, I just wasn't feel good. I got bubble gut. Can we do another day of testing? Do they normally allow that?
Yeah, 100%.
Gotcha.
100%. It is a fair academic course of instruction. So yes, they will get another test. Now if they fail that, then it's off to the next, the reclass world, right? Whatever the needs of the Army may be at that time.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
But this is fun, and so like I came into the Army, I did the 18 X-ray contract. It didn't work out. I spent 10 years as an NCO and then finally did green to gold. And then when I made the transition back, I wanted to go back to EOD, and luckily, I guess enough people liked me in the community. They were like, "Yeah, why not?" You can come back.
You didn't have to go through another selection. You didn't have to go through any of that stuff. You were already. Now, I was about to say, is that that's the, I don't want to say that's the good part about it, but since you're already been trained as an enlisted person doing the EOD stuff and you're already tech qualified, is it you could just transfer right over, right? You could just be an officer in the field.
Yeah, what's really cool about the schoolhouse is that we send enlisted and officers through the same, instruction, right?
Gotcha.
So everyone gets the same thing. So it's not like there's, in other branches, they have their basic officer leader course, which is completely different for PME, and they show up. So for us, our people, our lieutenants, they go to PME, so they go to Bullock, right? So currently we have people from Ordnance Bullock, people from Chem Bullock, and people from Engineer Bullock, right? So we're open to those three. And then they come to EOD school, right? And they get the exact same POI as their enlisted counterparts. Now, the difference is if they fail out as officers, they're already branch qualified. So if they fail out, we can have them out of here in 10 days. And they're at a unit. They're at a unit in 10 to 20 days, right? Doing great things for the Army. And that's one of the things that we tell the lieutenants, right? Is like, EOD is a hard school. It doesn't mean you're a bad officer. It doesn't mean you're a bad soldier. It doesn't mean that you're not capable of doing great things in the Army. It could just be that you had a couple bad days and EOD is just not for you. And, it is fair. I will give the schoolhouse that. So I taught out there for 2 years prior to taking command. So I'm currently in charge of all the Army instructors on the range and all the Army officers going through training.
Gotcha. Oh, so you're like the schoolhouse. You're like the.
But I'm not.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you're commanding them, but you're not this. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's almost like how.
It's and we have a sister company here that has all the MOS transfers, all the initial entry training students. They have all the drill sergeants. So that's the AIT portion. So there's another company that runs that. So that's the Army footprint down here. Then you have a Marine Corps detachment, an Air Force detachment. You have the Navy. And so what's really cool for our students is they're coming into a joint service environment very, very early in their career, right? I mean, probably earlier than, I can't think of someone else that does it. Maybe PAOs, right? Because they go to the school up in Maryland. So that's joint as well. But like, this is their MOS producing course, and it is a joint course. So they're in school with sailors and Marine NCOs. And for the Marines, you have to be an NCO to go through school, right? So, they're getting exposed to not just the Army, but they're getting exposed to the way the DoD operates, which is pretty cool at a young age.
That's awesome. Now I'm trying to tap dance around.
Ask whatever you want, man.
I don't want to get into the classified section, but does it involve someone said to ask you this question? If you can answer, what about nukes? Do you do nukes?
Yeah, it's a section of school, right? So EOD school is broken down into 8 subsections. That's not a secret. What they teach is, right? But the fact that they're taught that is not a secret. But yeah, EOD school is broken down into 8 separate subsections, and that is one of them.
Is that the one of the biggest? Is that the biggest? The highest attrition rate is the nuke portion of it?
So the actual highest attrition rate in school is ground and air division. So I'll give a quick little recap of what school actually entails. So they learn basic demo, right? They learn basic ID features. They learn tools and methods. So EOD explosives, explosive tools, things like that, right? And then they go to ground division, right? And so ground division, within that division, it's broken into 3 subsections. You have hand grenades, rockets and projectiles, and landmines. And that is the first time where they have to take everything that they've learned in school and put it together. So it's all not live training, it's all inert, right? So the ordnance out there is not actually going to kill you, right? But we'll say, hey, someone found a hand grenade, and they have to go down range and they have to, do a recon of it. They have to measure it and figure out what type of hand grenade it is, right? How do they know it's a hand grenade? And then they have to go back up and get into the publication system, which is like, think of like the Google of ordnance, right?
Mhm.
So they can type something and they can be like, oh, it was the diameter was this and the exposed length was this, and it'll spit out 30 results, right? And from there, they'll say, okay, it looks like that one, and they'll do research and they'll pick out what TM it comes out of, and then they'll read it, and then they'll execute what it is. So then they'll go down range, they'll disarm it, and they'll dispose of it. That is a lot. That is a lot to take and put it all together. So then they go to air division. Air division is broken down into bombs, dispensers and payloads, and guided missiles, right? Then they go to IEDs, which is a completely different part of the brain, right? Because now we're not saying read a publication and monkey see, monkey do,
right?
Because IEDs don't have publications, right?
Yeah.
Now we're saying use a logic tree that you've created, and we're going to teach it to them, right? But now it's logic driven.
Yeah, I was about to say that the IED portion of it is fairly new, obviously, with what is incorporated from the GWAT, right?
Well, and so to an extent, right. So IEDs has always been a section of school.
Gotcha.
Now,
Okay.
Someone that came through in the 90s and early 2000s was probably focused more on, stateside based, pipe bombs and stuff like that. And we still teach that stuff, right?
Mhm.
Because we still have a role to play stateside as well. But we're also teaching them, what does it look like in a deployed environment as well.
Mhm.
And when they're done in IEDs division, then they go to biochem division. And we expect them to put on JS list and be out in the Florida sun and, work on chemical and biological, agents, right? Chemical munitions, biological agents. Then they go to WMDs and do nukes and stuff like that, right? So every section of school is building on the previous section, but we expect them to retain what they learned, right? You have to understand, in 143 training days, we are giving you a baseline. That's what we're giving you. We're giving you a very just generic baseline. And really what we're testing is your propensity to learn, retain knowledge, and be a team player. I mean, if you actually look at it, that's what we're doing. It's a giant interview process.
Exactly.
Then you go out to a unit, and then, you're going to build on the foundation that you got from school. It's not like you get out to the force and suddenly everything magically changes. The fundamentals are the fundamentals.
Right.
But now we expect you to add in the army to it, shoot, move, and communicate, and do this stuff. Because, we learned this during GWAT. It turns out it doesn't matter how good of an EOD tech you are. If you can't put 80 pounds on your back and walk up the side of a mountain, to get to the mission, then you're no good, right?
Mhm.
If you can't keep up with the maneuver element that you're supporting, what are you doing?
Yeah,
right?
I know that. Yeah,
And so,
I know that being a SAB guy and working with civil affairs and working with SF and working with Rangers and working with other units as well. If you can only do your job if you can keep up with them. And if
Right.
you can't, you can't. Kaz has a question. So it's not Nest. EOD evaluates and Nest handles it. I think he's talking about the nuke side of it.
yeah, he's talking about the nuke. So let's talk about other stuff other than the nuke stuff, right? I mean, that's
I think
fair.
it's
It's a fair
okay.
question.
Okay, fine.
I will,
let's-
like EOD school, EOD school does teach you, like, hey, what other interagencies do you need to deal with?
Right,
and that's
right.
part of the part of the mission. But
Exactly, because I asked somebody, because I've worked with the DOE before, and somebody asked me, how does the EOD handle that portion? And I had to say the same thing. I was like, well, there's specific regulatory stuff that has to happen, and someone was like, that's wave top, Ken. I mean, what really? I was like,
Yeah,
dude,
it's
I
wave
can't-
tops.
I can't tell you, man. I whatever. Casper says that's where they diffuse the green ball things from the rock.
yeah. Oh man, those VX things that like
That
they roll on the floor
and they bubble your
explode,
skin.
like-
Yeah, and they bubble your skin. That's a good question too. do you do the live stuff? I mean, when does like what's your culmination of the live shit? Like when do you you're gonna have to now you're part of your culmination event. You're now gonna have to diffuse live shit. I mean, what's the
Yeah, so we don't make them diffuse anything live in school.
Gotcha.
They do some live. They do live demo. There's no live like nerve agent training. There are schools and courses that do that. 20th Seaburn does a lot of live agent training and stuff like that. So that there are units and groups of people out there that do that stuff, right? And the
Gotcha.
techs are part of that as well. But no, we're not doing it in school because that sounds like the risk assessment that is not something that anybody was going to want to sign, right?
It's like how it's how Russian EOD is, you know. So do you have to know? Do you have to know ordnance nomenclature? Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one. We're going to teach you everything you need to know. Okay. That's kind of so there is no expectation that when you show up to EOD school, you know anything, right? Like we are going to teach you everything that you need to know. As a matter of fact, it's almost better that you don't know anything when you come to school, right? Because you have a training scar, you learn something on the Google machine, and it turns out it's wrong, right? So yeah, we're going to teach you, how to find nomenclature and lot numbers and, be able to read the Cyrillics on it and tell me what the explosive composition and filler is of a piece of ordnance. Like we're going to teach you all that stuff.
And as part of those, somebody said glorified engineer. So basically a glorified engineer. Oh, is it?
Why not?
Almost infantry. We were just talking about cav and jump wings when we were talking about the base renaming portion of it. I was about to say, are there some similar POIs or similar stuff that you get from your TTPs from the I guess you would say from the engineer branch as well?
I mean, there's similarities in that we're all dealing with explosives, right? People have to understand it's two very, very different mission sets, right?
Gotcha.
We're not asking EOD techs to go breach. We are asking engineers to go breach. We're not asking, EOD techs to clear minefields, individual mines, sure, but that is, that's an obstacle and that's an engineer capability and function, right? We do like to play the game, like where we make fun of the engineers and they make fun of us. And that's great, and I'm all about it, right? But in this form, I have to admit there are differences, right? They have different warfighting functions. What I will tell you that we can do that they can't do is we can collect evidence and attack the network, right? So when we're in Afghanistan and the engineers go out there and they're like, oh yeah, we put a block of C4 and we blew up this IED, like, okay, that's cool. You've thought about the 5-meter target, right? But like you haven't thought about the 300-meter target, which is who's the dude putting it in the ground.
Right.
And so we can actually collect evidence, attack the network. I mean, you were deployed, you saw those giant spider webs, right? Who do you think is building the spider webs? Who do you think is being like, okay, this bomb maker was here, and we know that because of biometrics, and now they're here.
Yeah. In SOF, it's SSE, sensitive site exploitation.
Correct. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So you're basically grabbing all the again, that's a whole nother. We can't say some of the intricacies of that,
right? But I mean, the cool part about that is you can actually, I remember being in Afghanistan in 2013, and we were actually watching a bomb maker move across the battle space, right? We just through the type of IDs that were getting put out there, right? We were actually watching him travel and where he was stopping, and so like that's rewarding. It's rewarding when, this happened to me in 2013 as well, right? Like where you collect enough biometrics that they put together a bolo and then they go out and they capture that dude, right? Like, and you're like, oh man, I got to be part of that. Like I got to be part of taking that bomb maker off the battlefield. Right. And now they can't hurt somebody else. They can't hurt one of my friends.
Exactly.
So, the mission sets are very, very different. They're both needed. Right. But the attacking the network part, like has always, the biometrics part has always, been super, super something that, I've really enjoyed. Right.
You mentioned stateside missions. What stateside missions do you guys normally
Let's talk about that. So, a lot of local municipalities don't have their bomb squads. They'll have agreements with the military and the DoD so that EOD techs can provide support. Awesome. Right. So you'll have stateside calls. You'll have calls on the range. So anytime, you're on the range and you fire an AT4 and it doesn't go off, right? EOD's coming out there. Any type of misfire, for explosives or stuff on the range. Hand grenades. Love us a good hand grenade. Nothing like going to the range and finding out that you can't take the jungle clip off. We love it. Right. So that's part of the mission set. We also provide support to, the Secret Service and other federal agencies, right? The Secret Service does not have their own bomb squad. That's, you can look that up online. This everything that I'm saying is open source, right?
Gotcha. I did not know that. I
and
thought
so,
they would have their own.
And so the DoD provides support. So anytime that you see the president, vice president, and in this time of the year, once nominations have been made, right? So the Republican candidate gets EOD support as well, and so will the Republican vice presidential candidate. And so this time of the year, EOD techs are all over the place, right? Because we know during election time that everyone's traveling. They never travel together. So we have EOD teams with the president and EOD teams with the vice president, and they're in separate areas. And now, you got the nominee, right? Trump's going somewhere, JD Vance is going somewhere else. And so you have teams all over the place. And so that's a really, really cool mission set that we have that a lot of people don't know about. It's a lot of fun, right? You get to meet a lot of people. You get to, you get to do your job, right? You got to go and, liaise with people.
Gary, grandma having a cannonball around the fireplace. Do you get calls like that?
Oh yeah. And here's the deal, right? Cannonballs are super dangerous. People don't understand this. So most cannonballs, we're talking Civil War era, like Tice concussion fuses, like we're talking, they're full of black powder and they're inside this iron ball. So it takes forever for it to dry out. Well, it turns out black powder becomes more sensitive when it dries out a second time, right? So what happens is they take the cannonball out of the riverbed and they put it on their mantle and it sits there for 30 years and it takes 30 years to dry out and then it falls off and it detonates, right? I mean, so yeah, don't think just because something's old, it can't kill you.
That's right. That's right. Don't I see you all talking about my AARP cards? That's right. No, because there was. You have the social media stuff where people say, well, it's just a cannonball. It's totally harmless. And I was always curious as well. I mean, I didn't, like you said, I do know that some specific cannonballs are actually just weights, and some of them, but some of them are legit freaking
they'll kill you.
Yeah, they will explode. I mean, like you said, they drop it. Let's talk about social media. You've been kind of
let's talk.
You've been kind of.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I was about to say. You kind of talked about. Well, grandma, grandma has that effect, the grandma effect, not the Streisand effect. Yeah. Did you? What's your? Hang on. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull up your.
Don't do it.
Your Twitters. Happy Captain, EOD Happy Captain.
That's right.
And you've become sort of a. I mean, I don't want to say. Are you an influencer? Does the Army call you an influencer?
It's like, I hate that term, right?
I know,
I hate that term because it's like, hopefully the only thing I'm influencing is people to do the right thing when they go to work, right?
Right.
I mean, so sure, yeah, I guess, hopefully I'm an influencer when I'm saying like, hey, be a decent human being. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, the Army, I try to project a message like the Army's not bad. Right. I mean, and you guys do a really good job with, WTF moments, right. With projecting that as well. But there's a lot of really, really good stories in the Army. And like, we should tell those stories. Like, I don't know why we don't tell more of them. We should be out there sharing our experiences and saying, hey, look, this is what I've done. This is what I've been through. And we also have to admit that not everything in the Army is great. That's fine. Right. It's a massive, 1.9 million, soldier institution between Compo 1, 2, and 3. Like, there are a lot of issues in the Army. I'm not saying there's not. I don't ever want people to think like, oh, he's just only saying the happy stuff.
Of course.
Like, we have issues with the barracks and we have issues with the DFACs. And we do have those issues.
Just to get in Compo 1, 2, and 3 is the active reserve and National Guard component. That term used to be back in the 80s and 90s. Compo 1, 2, and 3. That's come back. I love it because it's back because they just say they used to just say the active and then the reserve component with the two. Now it's Compo 1, 2, 3, Compo 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, Compo 1, 2, 3, Compo 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's just easier to say, right?
Yeah, so much. Yeah, I usually just stick. Yeah, I'm hip to the kids though, man. I'm hip to the kids because I say active. Or I'd say the active and the reserve component because if you say Compo 1, 2, and 3, and then what compo? What does compo 1 mean? What is compo 2?
The active guys, right?
Yeah.
The guard guys and then the reserve. Yeah, no, I mean, but you're right. But getting back to it, like there's issues, right? Yeah. It's not that, and I don't think anyone's dancing around those issues. Nah. But at the end of the day, like, dude, I joined the military without a degree. I was failing. I went to community college and I made it through like 2 semesters of community college and I was failing out. Like it wasn't for me at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joined the Army, no degree, got my associate's degree through tuition assistance, which took me, by the way, 7 years to get my associate's degree, trying to grind it out, between deployments and stuff like that. Got my associate's degree and then was here at the schoolhouse as a staff sergeant and applied for green and gold. And, I've been running ragged, man. The op tempo was super, super high. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm either going to apply for green and gold and hopefully I get it, or, maybe I'll get out of the Army. Like, I don't know what's next for me. And miraculously got accepted into that program. Right. And by the way, if you're watching this and you're thinking about going green and gold, do it. Best choice in the world.
Yep.
And I help run that Facebook page as well. But like the Army paid for me to get a bachelor's degree. Right. I mean, like, so the Army's paid for all my education. That's a good story.
Right.
No,
I
I own a.
Some of the stories that we have within that, I guess my biggest thing is that, and this is me, I'm a PSYOP guy, so we deal with the media environment and we deal with the, I guess you would say, the influencing environment, because PSYOP was influenced before the term "tank cool." So, anyways, I'm just kidding. So, but the thing is that it's those stories and I guys, for you guys that don't know that just came on, this is actually another portion of a this is like a part 2. Mike held a space with himself, Hots and Cots, Army Reddit, and then me, and we talked about social media. We talked about how the evolution of it was how, like, for instance, Army Reddit, Hots and Cots, what were the calling for? What WTF moments? What was the calling? What was the demand signal to where it grew, to where it evolved today, to where now we have individuals that are pretty influential in the veteran and the military community that we just shoot the breeze and try to put out the good stories. I always wondered why I'm not here to, again, guys, I want you to understand, we're not here to bash the Army. We're just here like, why doesn't the Army, like, why don't they get it? What's the secret to the sauce that they're not getting? I'm just, it's frustrating.
I think we're getting there. Like, I think, for one, the Army is a slow moving train when it comes to making turns, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I think we're getting there. I think it's happening. I think the problem is that it all comes down to, the same way we do evaluations, right? It's quantitative and qualitative. So you did this, which resulted in this.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to prove the good stuff on social media. It's really hard for me to say, like, hey, I've talked to X number of people, in my direct messages, and because we had those conversations online, they joined the military, right? What is easy to prove is you said this and then we fired you. That's super easy to prove, right?
Yeah.
You can Google it, you can find it in Army Times stories and national news stories, right? People get fired for social media misconduct. That happens, right? That is easy to prove, and therefore I think it's scary, right? It's new and it's scary, but at the same time, the next generation of people that are going to join the military are on social media, right?
Yep.
They're probably not on X where I'm at. I'm just old, right? But they're on TikTok and they're on Instagram, right?
Exactly.
And so if we don't have, and the other thing is they don't want to hear the sanitized, it's been scrubbed down and that dude's wearing his eye pro and is wearing his gloves, like they're looking for the real stories. They want to see, and by the way, they don't just want to see the people that are thinking about joining the military, all the videos of people like, shooting and jumping out of airplanes, like that stuff is awesome. 1000% blowing stuff up, coolest shit you'll ever do. Right. But they're also looking for videos like, oh, I'm not interested in that. I want to be a vet tech. And so they'll go and they'll search vet tech, Army on TikTok. And there's a person that does that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're curious about things like, man, what's it going to be like when I'm in the Army and I'm in the barracks? And so they go on there and they type in Army barracks. And there's like a specialist who just like revamped her room. I don't know if you guys saw that video, right? But like new curtains and put down like, vinyl flooring and like just made it like an Airbnb, right?
Well, this I mean, that's what we talked about in the space was how we do the more of this series where we have soldiers like this video right here, this image right here. People didn't know it. Oh my God, we have boats. We got watercraft. How do you become a watercraft guy, or how do you what's your what's the process for this? The pictures of the week that we do, it's the same thing. I think that's more like the grit stuff that you'd see like in the, how AUSA has their Army series where it's got a bunch of, it's like glossy magazine and it's got everybody. That's kind of like that's our new thing now. The people are, oh, I want to hear the stories about this. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but it's not self-sustaining to always, the Army sucks, the Army sucks, the Army sucks. Look what happens when the Army sucks. The Army's going to be sucking. And look, if you don't like it anymore, then oh, this is what happens when it's just like it's not sustainable. I don't feel that type of messaging is not sustainable. I'm not saying that covering up something obviously is the way to go, but I'm saying is that there are a lot more stories out there aside from the, like you said, the good and the bad that can be put out there. It's just, for me, it's frustrating to see everyone get completely emotional that some influencers don't talk about the bad stuff, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, you have to have there's got to be a healthy dose of both, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can't, if you only say the good stuff, then it really comes off as, Army propaganda, to call it that, right? Like, oh, they're only focusing on the good stuff. You're only focusing on the bad stuff. It's, it's a negative account and no one really wants to follow that. What they want is real stories, right? They want to see
exactly
people doing the stuff that they're interested in.
Right.
They want to see people talking about, everything. Right. I mean, I knocked out my 2 front teeth with a flashlight in Afghanistan, 2011. Right. I did not think people gave a shit about that story, but apparently they did. When
it's a
I
pretty big story,
right?
man. What happened? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, you can tell me if you want, but it was just, you're right. It's almost like it's almost imposter syndrome. Like when you're talking about this and you feel bad about talking about yourself, you feel bad about, hey, how come you don't talk about this? Or you did this, or like with you. Yeah, I mean, you did what you did. How come you don't talk about this more? And you almost feel like, I don't know what to do with my hands situation. You feel awkward, and you're right. I think soldiers need to be out of their comfort zone to talk about what they've done, because like you were saying, I mean, you have some offline conversations, but some of the things that we do that are not posted online, that our legacy is being eroded that way.
Yes.
That's my biggest, I guess you would say my biggest endorsement for social media is that you could really, you're telling the Army story, you're telling your soldier's story, you're telling you as a soldier yourself story.
Well, that's the thing, man, is like, in 60 years, right? I'm going to be dead. I mean, maybe I'll be, maybe I'll almost be 100, right? But more than likely I'm going to be dead in 60 years, right? If we don't capture these stories now from the GWAT, we're not going to, right? I mean, the Army has already published their official history of Afghanistan, right? It is the official history as you would expect it to be, right? I mean, it's gargantuan, but it's not telling individual stories of what people did.
Right.
And when I say individual stories of what people did, I'm not just talking about, the guys and gals that got into massive firefights and, called AC-130s in and leveled the floor, right? It's the other stories that people want to hear too. I had Mike Vining on my podcast, right? So like, you don't operate, do you, son? That famous name, right?
That dude, man, is a legend, man.
He is. He was an EOD tech, right? He was an EOD tech, and then he became one of the founding members of Delta Force. But he started telling his story, and he started telling it in a depth that I don't think he ever has before. And I think maybe it's because I'm an EOD tech and he's an EOD tech. But, he just started explaining like what he did in Vietnam and why it mattered. And like, we got to start doing that for the GWAT people.
Yeah.
Like we have to start telling the stories of Iraq and Afghanistan and of Syria. Like we got to tell them.
And the Philippines, because it was people don't understand is OEF wasn't just Afghanistan. It was OEF Africa, OEF PI, the Philippines. There was some OEF that it was just OEF, but wasn't really specific to a country, but a mission set. And so that you're right. I just think to me, it's a big, how do I say this? You're doing yourself. I don't want to say you're doing yourself, because that makes it sound like I'm browbeating somebody, but you're not doing yourself you're not doing the community, the military community, any favors by holding those stories back. And then years later, you're disgruntled at a VFW that back like the stress card story that we were talking about earlier. There's a lieutenant that I knew or a captain that I knew, whatever your rank was, that knocked his teeth out with a flashlight. Really? No way. Yeah, man. And he freaking blah, blah, blah. Oh, shut up. Sorry. Shut up, Ken. You're just an old guy. No, for real. I really know him. Well, with social media, there's you telling a story about, or you talking about knocking your teeth out.
Yeah. And I think, people gravitate towards the stories that they want to hear, right? So, if you're interested in being, a dog handler or a vet tech or whatever the case may be, you want to be an MP, or like
do you really
you
want to
can
be
go
an
find those.
well,
That's fine.
that would be
Yeah,
the series. The series would be like, do you really want to be an MP?
but you can go online and find those people,
right,
and see their stories,
right?
Like
you've had.
Yeah.
It's funny is that you on your podcast. I'm going to plug your podcast right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. It's a blast podcast. As a matter of fact, here we go again. I got to keep my notes up here for this stuff. But you have
any problems with the guys?
It's funny that you have. It's how do I say this? I feel great seeing some of the guests that we've had on U.S. Army and WT Moments and WTN's Radio. I take great pleasure in seeing younger veterans and younger soldiers like you do the same with the same guests that we've had to kind of like reinvigorate. Like you had Mary Day. She's
awesome.
We're a big fan of hers at WTF Nation Radio, and she was a guest on our podcast as well. That it doesn't have to be specifically segregated to one podcast. It doesn't have to be to one platform. Getting all those stories out. So when I saw you talking to her, I was like, oh hell yeah, man, that's what it's all about. That's the stuff.
Yeah, and she's got a hell of a story, right?
Yeah.
And it's worth listening to. And it's worth listening to whether you're in the army or the military or not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she just has a hell of a story because she was the first female in her unit, right? That comes with a lot of breaking down barriers. She got blown up in Iraq and lost both her arms, right? And then she talks about like how guilty she felt about leaving country, and like, it's a hell of an interview, man. I highly, obviously I'm plugging my own podcast, but you should listen to her talk.
Yeah.
And taking a little break and going to bring the podcast back in August. Got a couple other stories lined up. People have stories, right? And it's not just EOD stuff we're talking about. I got one lined up with a soldier who wants to talk about, alcohol culture in the military and how they combated that, right? Because that's something else that, right, we should talk about. We should talk about alcohol use and, the way it's been glorified through generations, right, wrong, or indifferent, right? We got people that are struggling. It's become a little more, it's a little bit easier now to say like, hey, I don't drink, right? That's a good thing. I would say, I had Chuck Ritter on the podcast, right?
Yeah,
that
great
dude,
friend, great friend. Oh man, he's again.
And Chuck will tell you selection is harder now than it was when he went through, right? Like we expect a lot out of this next generation of warfighters, and so that's one of the other things I do on social media a lot is I push back on this narrative that, remember, Ken, that the last time the Army was hard was when you were in it. Like that's it, right? It's easy now. It was hard when you were in.
Well, man. Well, it was funny is because me and Spanky get a lot of crap a lot because we're like I said, we're retired senior NCOs, but we've gone on air and said that the soldiers today have it harder than us, and we get BS, blah blah. And Spanky's like, what are you talking about? I didn't have to worry about freaking doing deadlifts or leg tucks or didn't have to worry about being badgered on the phone all the time or.
Yeah, well, that's the one, right? Like you were. Yeah, turn off the landline. Unplug the landline when you get home. No one's contacting you. Right now, it's like, you get the random text that feels it feels like it's not a big deal. Like, hey, just wondering, like, what's the status of this? But like, what you're actually doing is you're bugging some person when they're home having dinner with their family,
right?
And now they're thinking about work again, right? And so they're never able to turn off.
They're never able to leave work because you have that leash. Like we just talked about, like we just posted about the first sergeant in the Zin pack. I was going to ask you, what would you do if your first sergeant said he was going to run USASL freaking testing on a Zin pack?
Yeah. So first off, my first sergeant's pretty awesome, and he'd never do that, right? to be very, very clear, things like that, they always make me chuckle, right? Because what it actually does is it erodes your power base as any type of leadership, right? Because like, I'm in a command position. I get to interact with CID. Guess what CID is going to say? They're like, absolutely fucking not. Are we going to take that case? That's stupid, right? So now you've made a promise to your soldiers that you're going to do something, and CID is not going to do it, right? And so all you've done is you've kind of overplayed your hand, to your subordinates. Like that's a bad move, right? It's better off to just be like, hey man, just don't put Zen packets in here. I don't know what the reason would be, but like, just, don't do
Right.
that here. Whatever the case may be, and just have a human conversation, with your people. What it really comes down to at the end of the day is the Army's a serious business, right? I have a really good mentor that says the Army's a serious business. That doesn't mean we have to be serious all the time. Like, the Army's hard. We expect the Army to be hard. The Army should be hard because training is hard. And it should be hard because we're making you do PT, and we're making you ruck, and we're making you run, and we're making you a better warfighter. The Army should not be hard because you have to go back to the barracks and there's mold in it. And the Army should not be hard because the food portions at the DFAC are not adequate, or the DFAC is closed.
Or or there's no food at all,
Yeah.
and or it runs out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Army should not be hard because some senior NCO is yelling at you about his impact. Which, like, why do we do those things, right? Because statistically, what what it seems like is, if your first leadership when you join the military is good, you will stay in the Army longer. Even if you go from a really good leader to a really bad leader, because you've had that good leader perspective, you're like, you know what, this is a phase.
Mhm.
I'm going to stick around.
Yep.
Whereas if your first leader is terrible, that's just what the Army is, right? The Army is terrible leadership. I'm leaving, right? And that turns into, a retention thing. Just treat people like people. I don't know, like, this is not foreign to, it's not just because I'm an EOD tech and we're a small community. Like, I got plenty of, mentors that are in combat arms. Like, it turns out, if, happy cows, right, produce more milk, happy soldiers produce more violence of action. Like, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. But what is it's for us with, because everyone is, hate us or like us or whatever. For us, we have to find that dynamic where we, and I'm sure you do as well. There's just some things that we don't post because some of it is, like you said, you have to do this. If you're in the profession of arms, you have to be professional, and you have to be, there's an expectation, like for the bomb suit, you have to be in shape to walk around and waddle around in the bomb suit. You have to be in shape to carry your kit. You have to be in shape to, and there's specific processes that happen up to that. Some of the posts that we don't post on WTF Moments is because we end up doing the mentoring within the inbox. We end up being, and I'm sure you get the same thing when someone hits you up. Hey, what's going on with this, or how come that? And then I think also the leaders have to articulate better on social media the why. And because I'm gonna tell you what, I never understood the because I said so mentality, why that has not died. I mean, why is it at this point? If you're asking as a leader or a company commander and you're commanding soldiers and you're expected to get a warno with details, then you shouldn't be looking at your soldiers and saying, because I said so, when they ask why, when they ask for that warno.
Well, yeah, I totally agree, right? Because, one of the things that sets our military apart from every other military in the world, and one of the reasons we have the best military and the best army in the world is the NCO Corps, right? I mean, I can say that. I think I was part of it, for a little bit, so I can say that as an officer.
We'll give you that one.
But the NCO Corps is the best thing that we have, and other countries can't figure it out the way that we have. And it's because I can give an NCO a commander's intent and mission statement, and if I give them that why, they can just go do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They don't need me. Right? If I'm
right.
taken off the battlefield for whatever reason, like, there could be no officers there. The NCOs are going to go out there and they're going to, like, crush the objective and do what they need to do. Like, the why matters, And so when we talk about coaching and developing and mentoring soldiers, that matters a lot. I'm in a really unique position right now here at EOD school where I'm in charge of all the lieutenants that are going through school. So for the next 2 years, I will have commanded every single officer going into the EOD force, right? That's awesome.
It is.
Me and my first sergeant love that, because that means we get to sit down and mentor and develop them, and we get to tell them the shit that we wish someone had told us when we were young.
Right. And instead of being a gatekeeper and saying, because I said so, I mean, your great leadership is the legacy that you carry. Now we talk about social media and pictures and stuff like that in your story, but the way you take care of your troops is they're going to do the same thing. They're going to say, hey, I remember when Captain Villarosa and Sergeant Major Ramos they did this or they did that. Hey, what's up? Dave Silva's in the chats. And so you're like, hey, I remember what I remember what Captain Villamosa said, and he said this, and I'm going to never forget this, and I'm never going to forget this, and this is what he did. But also the bad leaders are going to be like, man, I'm not going to do what he did. Shit, you see what happened with this guy? This guy, he
And like, yeah, but the thing is like, I don't expect, you know, the lieutenants that are coming through school right now, I don't expect them to emulate me 1,000%. If they take one thing away from something I said, then that's good enough, right?
Right.
I will tell you that they go out into the force, and you know, I'm still having conversations with them, you know, 2 years after they've graduated, right? Which that's rewarding, man.
Right.
That's super rewarding.
Oh,
Because the
I
deal
hear you,
is,
man.
you know, I feel like there's two types of people that are doing social media in the Army, right? There's people that are in the Army doing social media, and there's people that are doing social media while they're in the Army, right?
That's a good one.
Don't think
Yep.
I don't think half of my formation knows that I do social media. I don't give a shit if they know that I do it.
Yeah.
I probably have a student. I probably have a student or two watching right now.
No, you know what I say? You're probably going to have him right now.
Yeah, go to bed, right? You got class in the morning.
Exactly.
But like, you know, but that's fine because, you know, I'm the same person on social media that I am in the office, right? They know they can
Right.
come by, they can see me,
Right.
they can ask their questions, that I will stop everything to try and coach, mentor, and develop and try to fix their issues, right? Because man, what a kick in the gut that would be if you had a company commander who was on social media, but they couldn't fix your pay, right? They couldn't,
Yeah.
you know, it's like we're trying to do that stuff, you know,
Right.
and I'm not saying I'm fixing all the pay issues. We got pay issues. We're fixing them, right? It's a process.
Well, yeah,
But
yeah, exactly. Well, you know, a lot of the things that you're talking about though at your level, Mike, is why Hots and Cots was created. It's not sometimes it's not the command's fault. Like it's just like you're being told by the Army or by the installation, I should say, not just the Army in general. You're being told by the installation, all right, here's your building. It's got mold in it. Yeah, well, you know, yeah, everyone has to get some mold, but you know, sorry.
you got to get some mold. I had it, you know,
Yeah,
I had it when I was,
back when I was, you know, back when I
Yeah,
was a
like-
Joe in the 90s, we had it too. So suck it, you know.
Yeah, I remember my first barracks room. That building is now condemned here at EOD school. But when I showed up to EOD school in 2009, I thought the wall was painted black.
Oh wow.
Like, it was that bad. And I
Wow.
walked out of there and I was like, and you know, they took care of me. They gave me a new room and everything like that,
course.
right? But I was like, hey, like that's not cool. So I've lived in bad barracks, right? I've eaten at bad defects. Like it exists. It's a
Mhm.
problem. What I will tell you is like I think leaders are more engaged, you know, than a lot of people I think realize. It's easy to go on social media and say like, oh man, I went to this facility and it was shit and this happened and that happened, and it's very easy to complain about that stuff. What I found, you know, like making this transition over is like there's a lot of red tape. I know that's not a good answer.
Right.
I know that's not a good answer.
Chuck just
but I,
Chuck Ritter just said that the mold can never overpower how good you two gentlemen smell, though. Aw, I guess
Ooh, Chuck, thanks, buddy.
I know, man. Isn't that so cool? Chuck in the chat. It's
Chuck's in the chat. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I do think that senior leaders do care, right? I think
Right,
you know
right.
there's a misconception.
It's a frustration
that's
to
gonna get-
it's a frustration point to some of the leaders as well, because if they're focusing a lot on the stuff that I mean, I'm gonna say it. And how do I say this without? I'm not bashing the Army when I say this, but it's a circular event that the GWAT just cycled a bunch of everything, and now that we're kind of like, well, we're sort of slowed down a little bit, minus the rotations. That now I think is where we should sit back and say, okay, and kind of look within. All right, this is what we need to fix. This is what we need to correct. But there's still sometimes that leader in the back of their minds that says, hey man, I still have that next rotation to go to, or hey, I have this next event to train for. And there's other ones that are just completely and utterly frustrated that they can't get installation to repair HVAC or repair or at least get soldiers out of the room, and they say, you know, whatever. You're in Florida. Have you ever walked into a building in Florida and seen the mold, any mold, when you walk into I'm just saying like a hospital or a clinic? I mean, the standards are pretty easy there, you know? I think the Army buys mold drywall already.
you know, but like we have people that care, you know, they're just, you know, you don't need to look any further. You know, I'll give him a plug, right? Because he's in the chat right now. But like Sergeant Major Silva was taking care of an issue, you know, and so there are senior leaders that are super involved, right? They're on social media. You know, General Beagle, the commander of the Combined Arms Center, right? When he was the 10th Mountain, you know, Division commander, he put out a memo saying like, hey, you're not going to message or call people after 1700
Mm-hmm.
unless it's like a life, limb, or eyesight issue. Like, we have the ability to do that stuff, and there are senior leaders that are out there doing that stuff, right? We need more of them. You know, we definitely need more of them to be in the space and to be open about what they're accomplishing.
Are you seeing?
But
are you seeing it enough? I mean, are you seeing it enough that leaders are not in the space, or I mean, that didn't sound right. English is a second language. Are you seeing enough leaders in the info space, and you think there should be more?
Well, I always think there should be more, right? I mean, I don't think, I think there should always be more. I will tell you that, it takes a special type of person to do it, to be in that space, to be out there.
Right.
I'm not sure that I need to see the chief of staff of the Army on Twitter, right? Or the sergeant major of the Army on Twitter. They're doing strategic level Army things. I don't need to see them on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool to see more battalion and brigade commanders on there. I've seen corps sergeant majors on there. I've seen corps commanders on there. I've seen brigade commanders on there. I think it's good for soldiers to see, that their leadership is active in the space, that they have a voice, that they're being listened to, even if there's not general, direct interaction, right? Trust me when I tell you that leaders see the stuff that soldiers post. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's a bad thing too, right? But people are very cognizant of what's going on, and they look into those things. When a soldier comes online and they say, hey, they just post a tweet out into, the ether to nowhere, and they say like, I mean, I was at the dining facility today and they were closed at 12:30, but they were supposed to be closed till 1. Like, people pay attention to that.
Right.
Stuff happens behind the scenes that maybe that soldier doesn't see, but maybe they show up the next day and they're like, oh man, they're still open. That's wild. They were closed at this time yesterday. There are people in the space that are actively engaged trying to make things better for soldiers. So, I mean, to answer your question in a super, super long way, do I want to see more people? Yeah, I always want to see more people in the space.
What about our public affairs? I mean, our units are, I know the MPADs, the public affairs detachments they're too light. They're
stretched thin.
They're strict. I mean, again, I first off, they need to be branch. Second, they need to incorporate themselves as a regiment. But for some reason, I think we're out. Let's put it this way: the influencers are outpacing our own messaging, our Army's own messaging.
So one, obviously I'm not a PAO and I don't speak for the PAOs, right? I don't pretend to know half the stuff they do. I do know that there's probably not enough of them, right?
Agreed.
I think,
Agreed.
I can't really see I haven't seen a giant force structure redesign where there's tons of new ones, but the internet and social media have exploded, right? So yeah, we probably need more PAOs out there, that are capturing more information. And the ones that I've seen are doing a great job.
Right.
But Chuck say, what did Chuck want?
Chuck is like, social media scares senior leaders for some reason. The whole we didn't do that back in my day is geriatric leaders. Us geriatric leaders need to get over it and realize that this is how people communicate now. We need to accept that, as cool as they were, carrier pigeons are a thing of the past.
I mean, but he's right?
No, but I'm just saying. Did you see my carrier pigeons behind me? What's up with that, Chuck? Why are you breaking balls, bro? No, but you're right. It is a. If Specky said, "Where are even the PAOs?" I mean, at WTF moments, I deal with the larger formation PAOs, and like I Corps and 3rd Infantry Division, 18th Airborne Corps. I talk with them a lot. Just the PAO side. USASOC, and I rarely get the, hey, you got something going on here on the page, can you post it for us? And it will be like a brigade PAO. And I'll be honest with you, if they were more active in the messaging side, then it would fill the gap of the misinformation and disinformation of how the military is. Like when people say, oh, the Army's woke, or oh, the Army isn't doing enough, the Army's not training. Have you seen our pictures of the week? Have you seen our soldiers re-enlisting? They're kicking ass.
Yeah, and that's always something, I know I said it before, but like that's always something that I push back on as well, right? Because like the students that are coming through EOD school now are in better shape than I was when I went through EOD school. They're smarter than I was when I went through EOD school. I mean, like I had to learn how to drive a robot in EOD school, and I was sitting there like little joysticks. Like, well, guess what? Like they've been playing video games their entire lives. They pick up a controller, they look at it for 5 minutes, and they're like, just doing straight up magician shit with it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or they'll tell you what
they're very good what to do.
They'll be able to ID the controller. Oh, that's an N64 controller. Oh no, it's a PS5 controller. No, PS5 didn't come out to that time. And you're like, holy. Same when I was right before I retired, working with some friends doing the drone stuff. It was that. It was like, oh, that's an old, whatever, console ground station, blah blah blah. And you're like, wow.
No, I always push back on it, man, because like, the students that I saw come through for 2 years, and this is across not just, the cool part about being down here, I'm not just seeing Army students, I'm seeing Air Force and Marines and Navy, like they're good. The next generation is going to be just fine at war fighting. I mean, props to them, right? Because when I came in the Army, it was after you, but it was GWAT. I knew what I was going to do, right? I came in and
how far after me, or was that an ARP joke again?
Hey, by the way, there's no age requirement for AARP, right? So send it to your friends when they hit 21. But look,
I'm gonna start doing that.
You should. But I'll tell you, when I joined the Army, I knew I was going to Afghanistan or Iraq. Like I knew the war that I was getting into.
Right.
The soldiers that are joining now don't. Right. They're watching what's happening in Ukraine with drones and how large scale combat operations have evolved. Like this next generation of soldiers is, that's going to be their war, not mine.
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
so the fact that,
yeah,
I
could just imagine in your field now, there's probably, and I know you guys are talking about the use of ordnance drones that is now being in play in the war, Russia against Russia in Ukraine. Dave Silva says that PAO is now leveraging guys like Happy Captain and Captain Blondie to gain a broader and much more effective reach. Yeah,
it's true.
You're a captain. There's not too many people that like think about the soldier side of it. That's the highest ranking individual in the company, and so they go, "Oh, captain." Did he run into a sergeant major or a major or a command sergeant major or a lieutenant colonel? That's like whoa. But then they see you here.
Yeah.
You're. I mean, it makes you kind of more approachable.
A man of the people, right? A man of the people.
you're speaking the language of the tribes, exactly.
I've been really lucky, and I've been really lucky in the fact that the EOD community has been very supportive of me doing this, right? I mean, people like Sergeant Major Silva, Colonel Cadillac, my command team at the battalion and brigade. Like, I've had a lot of support, and they know that I'm having conversations, at echelons above, and so they're okay with me doing this, right?
Right.
I cannot pretend for a second, right, that I don't have a little bit of privilege being an officer doing this, right? Because it's easy for me to walk into the battalion commander's office and say, hey, sir, this is what, this is kind of what I'm doing. And I can have that one-on-one conversation. A private can't do that.
No.
Right.
No.
But I think that's the reason social media matters as well, right? Because, we forget as leaders, I can call the brigade commander. That's my senior raider. I can pick up the phone and call her whenever I need to. I have an open dialogue. If you have a private in a unit that's having an issue, right? They got a team leader. They got a squad leader. They got a platoon sergeant. They got a platoon leader. They got a first sergeant. They got a company commander. That's like 8 levels to even get out of the company with an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas on social media, I've received plenty of messages, offline, be like, hey, I have this issue going on. Can you kind of walk me through what my next step should be? Right. And, I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm providing the greatest guidance in the world, right? Sometimes that guidance is okay. In this case, I'd recommend using your company commander's open door policy.
Mike, sometimes that guidance is really sometimes all you need. Sometimes just some guidance is good enough because.
But when we don't teach soldiers the difference between an open door policy, an IG complaint, and a congressional complaint, right? When they don't understand that those are 3 separate tools and there's 3 separate avenues that they go down, the first thing they do is like, I'm gonna write my congressman.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm going to my congressman, which is fine. That's their right to do so.
Right.
Right. But like a lot of times these issues can be handled just by a conversation,
Right.
but they don't know how to facilitate that.
I see this, the comparison when we did the space of social media being the digital motor pool, where it's motor stables and you as a leader are walking by somebody working on a vehicle. And hey, Cat, hey, what's going on, Sergeant Major Silva? What you doing? Oh, hey, what's going on, Cat? Hey, what's going on with you? Oh man, these vehicles, I've been dealing with some shit right now. Oh, really? What's going on? Yeah, freaking pay, finance is messing up my stuff. Oh, really? What's going on? Oh, finance is doing this. Oh, okay, cool. I walk back. Hey, Mike, Sergeant Major Silva's not getting paid. His pay's all jacked up. And that's the energy, right? That's the way I see social media being, is like the digital motor pool, just the walking about, you know what I mean?
Well, it is. I mean, someone said it really, really well on one of the podcasts I did with the Harding Project, right? Revitalizing military
Yeah.
writing. You had them on.
Yep.
You had them on last week.
Yeah,
they
dude.
are doing
Awesome.
great business.
Yep, it was awesome.
But
It was an awesome show.
you know, I was talking to a lieutenant colonel that works with them, and he made a comment, which is, look, we walk through the barracks. Why do we not walk through the digital barracks, right? Why do you not go see where your soldiers actually are, and where they are is on social media. You don't need to interact with them if you're not comfortable with that, right? But you can definitely see where your soldiers are living and potentially the issues that they're having before they turn into an issue. You know, I know we had the the food kiosk issue a couple, like a month or two ago, right?
Yes.
When I tell you there was a ton of people on social media like talking about it, I'm talking about senior leaders that were having conversations and phone calls were happening behind closed doors to get that issue resolved as quickly as possible. Should it have ever been an issue? No, probably not, right? But due to soldiers posting about it on social media, on Army WTF moments, on Reddit, on X, right? The issue was identified, senior leaders engaged it, and it was taken care of on a weekend, which we all know a lot of times stuff does not happen on weekends, right? And so, like, there is a good power to social media. At the end of the day, social media is going to be whatever you want it to be. If you want to go on there and bitch and moan, right, that's what you're going to see more of.
Yeah.
Right? You're
Yeah.
going to see more of the complaining. If you're out there, God, I hate to use the Army term, but if you're out there hunting the good stuff, right, that MRT stuff, right?
Okay.
But like,
yeah.
too much. But
You're sounding like an
you'll
old guy
see it.
now. You're sounding like an old guy.
I know. But you'll see it. You'll see leaders that are actually engaged and actually care.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's that again, the whole digital space to me is I don't think it. I think we need to. I don't say this without sounding too over. No, I'll say it. I'll be aggressive. We need to seize that as leaders already to specifically formations, because when there's a gaffe posted on social media, there's a gaffe that's posted. For instance, you want to celebrate an organization or a sister service's birthday and you put the wrong jet on there for the Air Force. You end up putting a MiG-29. Or you put a Russian, like we posted before. We posted an invite that had a helicopter, had an A-10 because it was a guard or a change of command. And then they put a T-72 on the freaking on there because, well, it's got armor. Yeah, dude, come on. I think that lack of, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a hard nut to crack already, because we have our military. Our military partners, counterparts in the public space, like Military Times, Army Times, Marine Corps Times. They just lost their jobs. A lot of the reporters that would handle these issues. So now I don't want to say I'm not scared, but I'm just concerned now, being media, being with, and we're both, I guess you would say we're both influencers, that we're now going to have I know I don't like saying it either. We're going to have an uphill battle pushing that rock against disinformation and misinformation, because the stories, like you just said, telling the good stories, I know for a fact you could go down and talk to, or at the time you could call up Military Times or talk to Davis Winke or talk to any of the other reporters and say, hey, you want to do a story about the EOD of the Year competition? Which, by the way, one of your images got thrown on the on WTF.
Saw that.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. Thank you.
So it's like, it's like you can't have it both ways. Oh, we need to fight this information. We need to fight misinformation. Okay, well then go ahead, go on out there, go.
And that's where it is, right? That's where the misinformation, disinformation is. Like General Evans, right? 3-star. I don't even know where he's at, but I will tell you, I've had about 72 General Evans accounts follow me. Right?
Exactly.
Like the thing is if you're not in the space, somebody's going to be in the space for you.
Or
I don't
act like you. Pretend that they're you.
Well, like, and I don't use TikTok, right? I have 3 TikTok accounts. Like, people send me photos like of me on TikTok. I'm like, hey, that's not me, man.
Yeah,
like, that's not me.
I have one Instagram account. I have one Facebook account. Well, actually, I have 2. I have one for work, and then I have a personal one, and then I have my Twitter account, and that's it. That's
like
you
haven't made it.
Yeah,
you haven't made it on social media until like someone is scamming little old ladies, being like, "I am stuck in Afghanistan."
Yeah. Oh no, there's a new one. The new one that we highlighted, me and Spanky highlighted, was the Instagram scam, where there are very attractive profiles, and they say, "Hey, how you doing?" They develop a relationship, and then they send lewd pictures to each other, and then one says, "Okay, I got this," And they have actually manipulated our chats, and said, I'm going to send this WTF Moments if you don't send me $200, $300 or whatever.
That's wild.
And then we'll get something in the box. Oh my God, there's somebody scamming me on Instagram. Yeah, we saw the pics. No way. I'm just kidding. We didn't see the pics, but yeah, we're aware. We're aware.
You haven't made it on social media until like I've gotten messages before being like, hey, you're on TikTok and like you're messaging this little old lady to send you $500. I'm like, yeah, that's not me. Right.
Yeah.
So like if you see me on TikTok, not this guy.
Yeah.
But that is part of the risk. What is nice, all jokes aside, about being in the space is like I can't do anything about the fake TikTok accounts because I'm not on TikTok.
Right.
I am on X or Twitter, whatever the hell we're calling it, right? I get fake accounts that pop up for me. I probably get like one a month, right? I just shoot a message over to Twitter, be like, that's not me, and they delete it, right? Because I'm in the space and I can prove I'm real.
Right.
When we have senior leaders that aren't in the space, the problem becomes is that they are in the space. It's just not them.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You're going to have, like you said, we had 15 General Evans follow us, or we'll have like right when we're on air, we had somebody comment who said they were Saddam Hussein. So it's like, oh man, Mike, dude, we're over time. And we could keep talking all night, bro. That's the thing. Let's
do another space sometime soon, man. That was fun.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us your socials. Tell us where you're at. Tell us what your because I just highlighted your. Let me go back here to your to your let me window cap your EOD Happy Cabin.
Yeah, EOD Happy Captain on X or Twitter, and then also on Instagram as well. Just starting the Instagram thing up, so it's still in its infancy. But look, just be in the space, right? I mean, interact with soldiers and just be the leader that you needed when you were younger. I think that's where it really comes down to. It's like be the leader that you needed when you were a private.
Right. Oh, bingo. Whoa.
That's it.
CSM Silva says, great chat. Go Army EOD. I knew there was going to plug in there somehow. Go ArmySoft.com.
And look, and
tier 10
yeah, by the way, like
tier 10
bonuses. So like my messages are open on here on Instagram. Hey, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I want to go EOD, then do it, right? Like we'd be happy to have you, and I will definitely talk you through the process. Any EOD tech is going to be happy to walk you through the process. If you're on an installation that has EOD, go knock on their door. Be like, hey, I was thinking about EOD, and then I saw this like captain online, and he made it sound halfway decent. So why not, right?
Tell him about the Hurt Locker. Yeah, he said the Hurt Locker was.
Tell him about the Hurt Locker.
that would be.
We're going to teach you how to use 107s and shoot Barretts. It's going to be great. All right, it's the main thing that we do.
I totally forgot
hear
about
that, Chuck?
Scene. Yeah, exactly. No, that's alfalfa bro life, man. You have to understand.
My bad, dude. Don't beat me up.
Oh man, Mike. Once again, Happy Captain or EOD Happy Captain. You're the same on the on Instagram as well.
I am the same on Instagram as well.
And so just make sure you guys share, like, and follow. Bro, thanks again. I mean, me and you talk a lot anyways. Our phone calls go longer than our podcast, I think. But
I think so. Hey man, thanks for having me on. This has been awesome, and I really appreciate it. Looking forward to continue our dialogue.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. All right, guys. We're gonna take a break. Me and Mike are gonna shoot the shit for a second while I get everything set up, and then knock out some housekeeping, and we'll be back. Shouts. Hang on. Somebody said that I was rolling live, and I did. I was rolling with the cameras on earlier, so I guess I gotta make sure I got the cameras not rolling while we're talking, because they were like reading lips. I'm like, oh wait, which part were we talking about?
What about the Hurt Locker? Don't you know?
Exactly. All right, I'll be right back. Shots.
There's a lot of tough talk on Twitter, but there's not a lot of real talk.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
You say I walk on the truth.
There's a lot of tough talk on Twitter, but there's not a lot of real talk.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
All that Army talk. All that Army. I love that shit. Hey, Mike, thanks for coming on, man. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. I know for a fact that, there's a point to talk about some of the stuff that I guess you would say there needs to be outrage on, I guess. But then there's also sometimes to let everybody know Sergeant's Time is a platform to be used for LPD, leader professional development, and also for leaders to come on and share their wares. These dang chickens keep saying the same thing. They need to think outside the box. Dad joke snort. But yeah, that's what Sergeant's Time is built for. This is what it's all about. So if you have any leaders that want to come on or want to show off their wares and hit it up, get in a dialogue with us, hit contact at WTFNationRadio.com. That's our podcast scheduling side of the house. But yeah, thanks again, Captain Mike Villahermosa, for coming on. Or Spanky would say Villahermosa. EOD Company Commander. Dude, I wonder if can you come back in and do EOD? I should have asked him that. If a retiree were to come back in through whatever, I probably wouldn't pass some of the physical, the medical screening and stuff like that because I'm all banged up and beat up, so I probably won't be able to do it. So anyways, again, thanks again. Shout out to the to all the EOD personnel who they get after it and all that. Appreciate all the leaders that were inside the chats as well. And appreciate your all support in there. But yeah, let's go over. Let's cover the show show lineup. What do we got going on here for the show lineup? So this is Sergeant's Time every Thursday, of course, with myself and Spanky, and then the Friday Night Freedom. Okay, I need to change that. I need to update that. That's got to be updated. Remind me to put that on the training calendar on the whiteboard. Matter of fact, I need to line it out on the whiteboard and move it up to update the graphic because there's some stuff that's going to get filled up in there. Right now we're having some meta issues right now that we're going back and forth with. So if you guys see the WTF Nation Radio Facebook page, go offline and then come back on, then we're trying to fix some stuff. So don't freak out. But we're still broadcasting live on other platforms. So we're on 2 Facebook pages. For now, WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF Moments. And then we are on X at WTF Nation Radio. We are also on 2 YouTube pages, U.S. Army WTF Moments and, of course, WTF Nation Radio. Make sure you share, like, and follow all of us. Let me do some housekeeping and see who we got for the guests because I think the calendar's starting to fill up now that we've opened up some people. So, of course, Saturday's a day off. We might have some Saturday co-ops and, of course, the sharing of the U.S. Space Force WTF Moments. Late for changeover brief. The crew over there, Marty and the guys. And then WTF Nation Sports Bar. What do you hear? What do you say? The coach and, of course, exactly that cause. They can't ban all of us. The actual King Smith, who has his own podcast too. Hey King, the next time you are up on air, shout out to your own podcast that you got, King and Me. I actually like watching that podcast, seeing you interact with your wife. So it's a good podcast. Monday edition, of course, myself and Massey. All the news and discussions, Army news, commentary and discussion, of course, and opinions, ranging from all veteran issues, current political and societal issues, and then of course, pop culture warrior with Michael Carrasquillo and his plethora or his angry mob of Angry Elf and Mad Mike for his co-host. Man, that pop culture warrior crew's been crushing it as well. Yeah, King Smith does need some more followers, man. I'll be honest with you. I get a lot of, how do I say this? maybe it's because I know King Smith, but the way he does sports with him and the coach, I think is a lot, I don't know, understandable, easier to digest, and probably because maybe that's the way his flow is or something like that. I don't know, but he's a great team to have on the sports bar. Wednesday, of course, is the Smoke Pit with the Sorents. The Sorents being, of course, Radar and TZ, Junior NCO perspective from the Smoke Pit, of course. So that way, we're doing Sergeant's time as me and Spanky are the NCOs that are walking into the motor pool. And TZ and Radar are smoking at the Smoke Pit, watching by, going, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna tell these guys here, blah blah blah. We're gonna sneak a Zen pack in that. Yeah, you ain't lying, Cos. Freaking all of our hosts are badass. I told the team that today. Leaders always. That's the thing too. Sometimes a little emphasis. Hey, sometimes. Hey, even me. Somebody told me I was doing good today. Thank you very much, by the way. There's some times where you get a kick in the gut. You're like, man, I just can't fucking win. I just can't, I'm struggling. And then someone comes along and gives you a compliment and you're like, yeah, I guess I am doing good. I guess I am kicking ass. So, and of course, right back to us with Spanky and myself at Sergeant's time. Let me see. We got July, of course, is needing to fill up, but, I saw Cos sneaking around doing the George W. lap. Hey, I see Cos in there running around trying to find a tourist. And then, of course, on the 5th of August, I have Eric Bandazewski. I'm sorry. I keep fucking it up as shit. He's the host of There Will Be Bourbon. I have been on his podcast. And so now he's going to reciprocate and come on our podcast. This is going to be fun. And he will be on the Monday edition on the 5th of August, and I'm excited for that. And like I said, the next guest we got was John Wesley Shipp on Pop Culture Warrior. Again, the calendar, I see a lot of stuff that's tentative, so I can't really say, oh, so-and-so might come on, and so-and-so might come on. But there's going to be some big names that you're going to see filling up the calendar. Yeah, exactly that, Cause the bourbon. We're actually on the main page and on the radio page. We're going to share a podcast that he did with one of my friends, and he's going to give a Secret Service breakdown of everything. So I think it'll be interesting to post, and you guys will see it. So great stuff. Again, EOD Happy Captain. He is a happy captain. He is really happy captain. Before we came on the air, I was going to talk about something that I forgot to talk about, but now that he's done, and we were finished up, I had this on kind of like on the back burner, and I think I'm going to take up residency in Colorado, and here's why. The Philip Morris is opening a $600 million plant in Colorado to meet the surging demand of Zen nicotine pouches. Hey, Zen, do you need a freaking a Zen girl or something like that? Shit, sign me up. I will be your veteran outreach guy. 4th ID at Fort Carson. All the freaking, look at all that. This will be an awesome skill bridge, and that's the thing. I'm actually getting this from. I got the information from EOD from Mike, from EOD Happy Captain, and I was just like, man, I was going to talk about it, and I'll be. Could you imagine? So Zen, hit me up. Cause I do have some good boobs. I do push-ups now. I'm now that I have all my surgeries have complete now, because I had like 4 surgeries within the last 6-7 months. So now I'm now healing. Now I can start getting back in shape. Sorry, the boobs are gonna go. The moobs are gonna leave, Cause. But check this out. So Philip Morris is opening a $600 million plant in Colorado. Who wants to join me, man? Look at this. To keep up the demand, I'm gonna say I'll show up. Hey Zen, you want to do a little partnership? Or you want to do a little networking there? I don't mind giving out some Zen for promotions. I don't mind giving out some Zen for you know what that's a good idea. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna hit up Zen. Hang on, I'm gonna write this down. Zen. Hang on, I'll get this right here. And there we go. Hit up Zen. And that's my notes here. Zen. I'll hit up Zen. I think this is good. I think this could be a very lucrative collaboration if WTF Moments and the Zen will go ahead and will do a deal with us. I think it would be very fortuitous and a very profitable to the veteran community. Have a Zen event. Ooh, you hear it here first. Zen Fest, sponsored by WTF Nation Radio, US Army WTF Moments. Ooh, maybe I call my friends up that did haircuts for Hero too. Zen Fest. Be funny. At any rate, make sure you share, like, and follow. We try to start at 2000 EST or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but hey, we try. We go, like I said, we go for about a couple hours with no guests. We try to go as we do an hour show, and then if we do have a guest, they come on the following hour. So again, hit up contact at WTFNationRadio.com to see if you think you can come on or see if you have any interest in coming on. The reason why I say that is because there's some, if you're going to come on, there's going to be some good talk that we need to have. There's some other individuals that we want to have come on, and there's some other events that U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio are sponsoring later this year. Oh, sorry. I made my voice change. But there's an event that's happening towards the end of the year in the fall, and it is with a hockey team. And once I get the details, then it will be in that area, and more than likely you'll see us. You'll see some of the WTF Nation staff. I got to make sure which hockey team it is. I think it's the one in Fayetteville, the junior hockey game guys or something like that. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't even know what the name of the. You know what? I don't want to be a. I don't want to be a dick. Hang on. Let me go ahead and check out right here. Let me check my emails, and so that way I can give you guys a more accurate detail. And I'm going to break this right now. This is a tentative event. And so let me see, because what I want to do is I want to get you guys aware that this is happening. That we are going to do with the Fayetteville Marksmen a hockey team an event. We're collaborating with some stuff, so we will see. What's happening. It's called Seeds for Service. So these are for military and Gold Star families. U.S. Army WTF Moments. U.S. WTF Nation Radio, WTF Moments always supports the Gold Star family community. And so anything that has to do, I'm swiping left. Sorry, you were able to see that through my glasses? Whoa. Man, look at that. Yeah, let's see. Sup, girl, sup. Oh, man. Who am I talking to? I don't know, man. Who am I talking to?
Such love, such joy, such ecstasy. So much pleasure in my mouth.
Anyways, it's with the Fayetteville Marksmen, and yep, she was a guy. No, she's not. She's not a guy. At any rate, yeah, I'm excited because, like I said, we'll be hanging out. We'll be hanging out at the in Fayetteville again, hanging out with the local hockey team, and then once we get the event hammered out, we will be able to give you guys more of a detailed. It's towards the end of the year, so keep your fingers crossed and your eyes open and your ear to the ground. Share, like, and follow. And again, thanks again, Mike Villahermosa. This is what we were saying like that. Villahermosa, Mike, for coming on and shooting the shit with us on Sergeant's Time. So with that, shots. See you. I don't even know where to be. I don't even know what to hit.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Sometimes when I look at, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, I think it's WTF Army or something.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.